today I'm going to be showing you some 1.21 build hacks, ranging from very useful, like this fence, all the way to the most cursed build hacks ever. And at the end of the video, I'm going to be making a house using only new blocks to show you just how good these build hacks really are. This is chiseled copper, and because of this cool X design on the sides of the block, it actually makes a really nice crate if placed with some other crate looking things. And if you place these blocks in a 2x2 like this, and then place signs all around the sides, you can make an even bigger and better looking crate. You can also mix in some of the brand new copper trapdoors on the side of the crates, and you can even change the middle block to make some empty looking crates. Or we can just remove the block in the middle completely and we get a cool little animal house. I promise I'm gonna let him out, guys. If you want to make a more humane pet house, you can place some trapdoors like this, add some carpets on the bottom, and then put the new heavy core in the front, which kind of looks like a food bowl. And if you want some more food for your pet, you can place a chiseled copper like this and put a sea pickle on the top, and it kind of looks like a melon or something. We should probably just stick to the actual melon though. I don't know if I cooked with this one. You can place some copper trapdoors on top of campfires like this to make a cool looking stove, and now we can cook the melon if we want. And if you want to make a chair to sit down and have a meal, here's one chair design using the new trapdoors, and here's another. This chair is a little bit goofy. In real life it would be like 3 meters tall. Another new block coming in 1.21 is the crafter, which surprisingly has a lot of different building use. To start, you can make a stove by placing the crafter on top of some campfires, and then adding a few more kitchen details like this. And you can also use a crafter as cabinets if you place it facing this way instead. Who knew the crafter was the ultimate kitchen block? The bottom of the crafter can also be used as a roof, so I guess that makes it the third time it's used in this kitchen. And if you place it on the ground, it kind of looks like some kind of mat that is meant to keep the floor clean. Might as well just build the whole house out of crafters at this point. More household items that can be built with a crafter is this PC where the crafter is used as a monitor, or you can go all out and build a flat screen TV using 2 different angles of the crafter like this. Don't mind me, just sitting on my crafter couch watching my crafter TV. You can also place a crafter like this and then put a few seats around it to create an actual functioning game of tic-tac-toe. Okay, how am I losing to myself? And if you want to protect your house from intruders, you can use the crafter as a keypad like this. If you place a tough wall with a trapdoor on each side, and then add a crafter on top, and place a few more details like this, you can make a telephone booth looking thing like this. And if you look at this side of the crafter, it kind of looks like a face, which means you're actually able to build the crafter man like this. Now I know why we installed the security on the first door. This guy's not messing around. Coming up next, we have a few build hacks that are pretty tough. Tough bricks look kind of like stone bricks, so you can mix them together to make a nice looking pattern. Just like how chiseled tough and polished tough go together nicely if you place them on the floor. You can also use the top of chiseled tough bricks to make a really satisfying floor design like this. This is so cool, it almost looks like it's 3D. And if you take the side of regular chiseled tough and place it in a cave, it kind of looks like old transcriptions on the wall. This doesn't really work the same with chiseled tough bricks though, it kind of looks out of place. These brand new chiseled tough blocks can be used to make really nice looking pillars because of their unique designs, and if you want to make a fence out of tough walls, it actually looks really nice mixing them all together. You can even put one more block up on some parts like this, and then place a heavy core on top, and it kind of looks like a light that isn't on. If you pair the new tough walls with a few iron blocks like this, it looks like some kind of power station thing that would probably look good on top of a building or something. And I also found this robot guy you can make, which uses all the new blocks in the build, including the heavy cores for the eyes. I don't know why, but it kind of looks more like a frog than a robot. Speaking of heavy cores, the heavy core is actually a really useful block for builds. Well, it probably is for someone who actually knows how to build. But still, you can place it on top of a table like this, and it kind of looks like a mug or a thermos. And as we saw earlier, if you place it in an item frame, it kind of looks like eyes, which is especially scary if you just place it around a dark cave like this. I'd say I sure hope no one's watching me, but this is a video, so I hope you are. A mace is made from a heavy core, and it kind of looks like a utensil when it's placed on the table from earlier. And if you want to use the heavy cores as eyes without an item frame, I accidentally built this crab out of tough. You can also build this crab out of copper if you prefer your crabs to be cooked before you put eyes on them. Remember what we could have had instead of the armadillo. Now obviously our crab is pretty cursed, but there are some even more insane build hacks coming later in this video. But first we have these copper trees, which are just oak trees except the leaves are replaced with copper grates. And if you really want to 1.21ify this, you can replace the logs with a tough block block of your choice to really make this look like a 100% real tree. You can also place a bunch of water beside your tree like this, and you can even make one of these water lilies with a copper trapdoor and a coral fan on top. Why is this thing called a brain coral fan? What is Minecraft hiding from us? Whatever they're hiding is probably in these pipes, which you can make out of copper trapdoors like this, and if you want to just make a bridge out of copper trapdoors, you can do that. Not really sure if this is a build hack though, it's just a bridge. Copper grates are really useful, as since they are see-through, you can use them to make windows like this. Guys, I swear I'm not in prison. And if you want to use them for something that looks less like you committed a crime, you can make some fences by mixing them with other copper blocks as well. You can also just switch the grates out for a trapdoor for a different window design, and this also works with the fences, although it looks a lot easier for trespassers to climb them now. The copper bulb is a new block that emits light, and you know what that means? Lamps. You can make this simple lamp design using either oxidized or normal copper plus some similar colored fences like this, or if you want to be fancier, you can place some copper blocks as a base like this, put a tough wall above it here, and then add some fences on top of the wall, and finally a slab, a trapdoor, and a bulb like this. Now this is a better looking lamp than the first one. But if you want to be even fancier, you can make a double lamp like this, and honestly I think this one is a little bit too overkill. I mean, why do we even need a third lantern in the middle? And with these lamps, you're probably going to want to add a road underneath them so that they have something to actually light up. And if you want to add a sewer entrance, you can move two of the stairs so that they are facing like this, and then add some copper grates underneath to look like a cool sewer entrance. Just make sure that you don't accidentally drop your phone in it. Now it's almost time for some cursed build hacks. But first we have this copper gear which can be made using some of the new copper blocks, and if this gear is too much for you, you can shrink it down a bit like this if we remove the trapdoors. You can also place a copper block on the roof of a cave, and then place a wall and a fence underneath to make an artificial dripstone like this, and this actually comes in both colors as you can see, although the oxidized one looks more like an icicle than a dripstone. Another thing you can hang on the roof is a copper bulb like this to make another type of lamp, and if you want to build a copper staircase, you can now add some copper grates underneath the stairs, and also put some copper trapdoors on the sides for more detail. If you want to add some scary windows to your house, you can use the new trial spawners as an ominous window design like this, and this can also be used as a fence design if you have some kind of haunted mansion or something. A trial spawner can also be used as a bird cage if you right click on it with a parrot spawn egg so it traps the bird inside. Of course this is except for the fire, and the spinning, and the fact that it spawns parrots. Okay, that one was kind of bad, I'm not gonna lie. An ominous key can kind of look like a painting of a tree if you place it in an item frame on the wall of your house. And another thing that can go in an item frame is a breeze rod paired with a blaze rod, which is meant to look like the hot and cold on a water tap. Something that's less of a build hack and more of a cool trick is this wind charge launcher, which you can make by angling 4 dispensers full of wind charges towards you. Okay, I don't know how it turned infinite, but I'm not complaining. It's kind of like a trampoline now. If you place some copper bulbs like this, and then put some tuff in the middle, you can create a portal to the secret copper dimension. And now it's time to show you some absolutely cursed build hacks that should not be used ever, mainly because they're really stupid. First off, if you throw a wind charge and then use the new /tick freeze command, you can make a really cool smoke effect that you can use in your builds, although now the entire rest of the game is frozen, so this might not be that useful. You can also trap a bogged in some sand like this, and it will make it look like someone died while traveling the desert. When an armadillo rolls up into a ball, you can use this opportunity to use the armadillo as a soccer ball that you can even play with using a knockback sword like this. And a rolled up armadillo can also look like some boxes on the ground or on some shelves depending on where you place it. Just like earlier, if you put a bogged in some powdered snow, it will look like somebody died while traveling in the snow. The only problem with this one is that the bogged actually does die in the snow eventually. And finally, if you spawn a breeze in some water, it kinda looks like a jellyfish. Okay, yeah, that's enough cursed build hacks. That one was insanely stupid. This is a street drain that is built using the new copper grates as well as some tough blocks, and it's a shame that you can't waterlog the copper grates, as this would actually be really cool. And if you just place a copper bulb in the sky like this and add a lever underneath, it can look like one of those floating lanterns that are for Chinese New Year, I think. I'm probably wrong about that, don't get mad at me. You can also switch the copper bulb out for one of these frog lights like this, and then you can place either oxidized trapdoors or regular copper trapdoors on the outside for another one of these lamp designs as well. And now with these trapdoors, you can also use them as a curtain thing on the side of your windows instead of using them as windows like we did earlier. And if you want to make another lamp, like we haven't made enough already, we can place some of the new tough blocks like this, and then put a copper bulb with copper trapdoors around it like this. And another weird lamp design design I've seen is this copper bulb on top of a dragon egg with some buttons on it so you can actually turn it on and off. And somehow I forgot the fact that these new trapdoors can be used as railings on the side of like a factory upper level, and you can also place some copper grates to make a nice floor to go with the trapdoor railings as well. And we can finally make a power station using some of the blocks like this to complete our factory. For these next build hacks, I decided to go find them in the new structure, the trial chambers. And the first one is just using these copper grates as like an entry to a tunnel type of thing. You could also use these copper grates as like support beams on the roof, similar to how they are used in the structure here. And there are some really cool mixes of tough blocks used in the wall design of this structure, which isn't really a build hack, but it's still pretty useful to know. I also found out that you can actually waterlog these grates, which makes the street drain from earlier look a lot better now that I know this. And you can also build the face of a breeze like this if you ever wanted to do this, although I'm not really sure why you would. This combo of blocks looks pretty cool in the middle of a fountain, and you can use these trapdoors to make little hidden tunnels inside of your builds as well. The end of this tunnel looks pretty cool, especially with the X in the middle. It kind of looks like one of those things you have to turn to open a vault door. And probably my favorite Mojang approved build that I found is this secret room in the trial chambers, which isn't a build hack, but I just thought it was cool that I found a secret room. There's also another secret room. This is so cool. And that concludes the trial chambers build hacks. I'm honestly surprised I even found any. Now that we've seen all these different build hacks, it's time to put my skills to the test, because in the next 20 minutes, I'm going to be building a house using only 1.21 blocks. I started by making an outline out of only copper blocks, mixing some chiseled copper and trapdoors in as well. And then I started building a wall using all different types of tuff, kind of like how they do it in the trial chambers. I then built a roof using more of these copper blocks, and once I finished the outline of the house, this is what it looked like. I'm surprised this even looks good. Next, I added some windows out of the copper grates with trapdoors on the side, and I used the new tough slabs and walls to add a little bit more detail to the front of the house. We'll just pretend I did this on the other sides as well. Now let's fill in the floor with one of the tough patterns from earlier, and I'm also going to add a staircase using the new copper grates underneath, and the trapdoors will act as railings as well. Next, I decked out the bottom floor with some of the crafter build hacks from earlier, and then I built a crafter TV on the top floor like this. To finally give the outside a bit of detail, I added some copper bulb lamps like this, and then I made a road like we saw earlier so I could use this storm drain build hack. Then finally I added some detail that doesn't use 1.21 blocks, but it just makes the house look a little bit nicer overall. Yeah, I guess the 1.21 blocks are actually really useful. I somehow made a house that looks really good. Also, the different copper blocks are intentional. I definitely didn't use normal copper instead of waxed by accident. This is a TV that sort of looks like plankton for some reason, and to build this, you need to place an item frame with a glass pane over a stone block, and then you have to throw 2 tridents at the top like this. You can also build a laptop using a similar setup, except using a pressure plate and trapdoor instead. Another household item you can build with a pressure plate and trapdoor is a chair, which is basically just a laptop on top of scaffolding. There's also another chair which you can build using any type of wood, but it's a little big. And there's this chair you can make as well, which actually looks pretty cool. Just make sure you don't fall through the cushion while you're sitting on it. Something that is in almost everyone's house is a chandelier. What? You don't have one? Okay, maybe it's not this fancy, but I'm sure everyone has a small chandelier that can be built like this with signs all around the outside of it. It's more like a lamp, I'm pretty sure, but calling it a chandelier makes it seem fancy. If you want to build a kitchen, you'll probably need a fridge, and luckily you can build one using quartz, some item frames with this slab in it, and some banners. And if you even want to take this a step further, you can place a dispenser behind the banner and then put some food in it so it's more realistic. Speaking of food, you can use a waterlocked slab to make pasta like this, and you can also use a dispenser to place some armor stands inside of a slab and make a tiny grill cooking meat like this. If you eat too much food, you're gonna want to use the bathroom, and luckily you can make a toilet by placing a diamond helmet as water under a stair like this. And after using the bathroom, you might want to light some scented candles, which you can make really long by placing an end rod underneath. Finally, you can make a garbage bin that actually works by placing a bunch of paintings around a cactus. And if for some reason you want a large clock in your house, you can build one by placing some slabs on the side, a slab and sign like this, a block with an item frame on top, and then a bell in the middle. It's supposed to do that every hour. This very large trophy that definitely wouldn't fit on a shelf. And a super large rifle that is made out of wood, which really has me questioning if it would work. You can also make a witch pot, which is just a respawn anchor with trapdoors around it. And you can make a dragon head that looks like it has a sword going through it, and you can even add ketchup. That's definitely what this is. If those builds weren't random enough, you can make a guy who got locked up using item frames and an armor stand like this. And you can make a Lego brick if you manage to get your hands on some colored heads. this. If you didn't like the idea of killing the Ender Dragon earlier, you can just make a regular upside down sword like this. And by placing a carpet underneath a block like this, and then putting an armor stand through it, you can create a chessboard by giving it a chain helmet and putting a pressure plate underneath it. If you build a cube of ice like this, and then put a Steve armor stand inside of it, you can push some ice on top of him and make a man who is freezing to death. You can also make some cracked ice by placing glow lichen on top of it, and you can build a penguin by using some concrete like this, a beak, and then placing some banners on the front and the sides. You can place a stair in a slab like this, some signs on the side, and a fence gate on the back to make a sled. And if you want to give this sled some power, you can attach a dog to the front of it like this. Come on, hurry up, go faster. If you need more power for your sled, you can put some stairs like this, add a carpet on the back, and then place some fence gates on the side to make a reindeer. Okay, now this thing should be super fast. We got Rudolph pulling it. Reindeers help deliver gifts, so here's a gift made from a kelp block and candles, and here's a happy kid who just got what he wanted for Christmas. I'm not gonna let that happen. I'm a hater. You can make a small tree by placing azalea leaves on top of a dead bush, and you are even able to make that tree dead with some mangrove roots on top instead. You can make another cool plant by placing coral on top of some waterlogged slabs, and if you want to make some bulrushes, you can place some glass panes like this with a brown candle on top. You can also make another type of bulrush like this, as seen in my previous build hack video. Another outdoor build is the swing, which is made by placing some upside down lightning rods like this, and then putting some trapdoors underneath. You can also place 4 trapdoors like this with a waterlogged slab in the middle, and then place an egg and some coral on top to make a nest. You can even put this in a tree to be more realistic, although it looks very unnatural. There are a lot of bugs outside, and you can make one of them by placing a button through an item frame like this. You can also make a water cart, whatever that is, by placing some slabs like this, with trapdoors and some fence gates on the side, and then some barrels and a sign on top, and a tripwire as a faucet like this. Another thing with wheels is a wheelbarrow, which is made with these 3 blocks, and you can even fill it up by putting some compost in the middle. You can place a candle on top of melons and pumpkins to give them a stem, or you can use a sea pickle depending on how big you want it to be. You can also make a pineapple by putting this vine thing on top of a shroom light like this, and if you want to build a cake, you can place a piece of dirt and put some snow on top, and then you can add redstone on the top as a strawberry. This cake probably tastes really bad though, it's made out of dirt. Apparently fish barrels are real, and you can make a salmon barrel with a raw copper block and some trapdoors on the side. Or you can change it out for a raw iron block if you want to make a cod barrel instead. Another type of barrel is a honey barrel, and this time I'm actually not sure what that is. I've never heard of a honey barrel before. If you want to make your dinner table look more realistic, you can place a pressure plate on top of an item frame and place some food in it to look like a plate like this. And you can even add some condiments on the table and place some sea pickles on the side, which kind of look like cups. So much detail just for you to eat all the food in 2 seconds. If you have a dog, you can build a small doghouse by placing 5 trapdoors like this with a couple more trapdoors on the top. And you can even place a dog bowl on the side to give him something to drink. Another dog bowl you can do is this design using a decorated pot, and pairing them together looks like both food and drink. If you don't have a dog, you might have a cat, and there's also a cool cat structure you can build. First, place a scaffolding and trapdoors like this, add some fences on the back, and then place a couple carpets on top, and then you have a nice place for your cat to live. You might also have a parrot, in which you can also give a house. Well, sort of. In order to do this build, you have to push a piece of glass over top of the parrot, which is probably seen as animal cruelty. So something you can do that is less cruel is this bird bath, which uses a waterlogged slab and some signs on the side. Or you can place a hanging sign like this as a parrot perch. You are also able to use a bell if you don't think the hanging sign looks good enough. And you can also build a cage, which is slightly less evil, and it's built using fences like this, a slab and a trapdoor on top, and a chain and scaffolding attached underneath. This build also exceeds the build size limit for this video, but I'm just gonna let it slide because it looks pretty cool. The last build in the pets category is this snail, which I'm not really sure if it counts as a pet. Snails are also really slow, so the fact that it doesn't move might actually not matter. Something that for some reason isn't in Minecraft is balloons, but with a colored block, a fence, and a little animal cruelty, it is actually possible to have balloons in Minecraft. Another thing that is also not in Minecraft is hot springs, but that can be changed by placing some trapdoors and some campfires underneath a pool of water. You can also do the same technique by placing campfires under lava to get some smoky lava, and this time you don't even need the trapdoors. I would be careful when swimming in this one though, because it might be a little too hot. If you're tired of how the regular TNT looks, or just scared of building with it in case something like this happens, then you can actually place a barrel like this and put some signs on the side that say TNT to make an old looking block of TNT. You can even highlight the signs in white to make the text stand out and add a candle on top to look like a fuse. If you aren't afraid of using TNT to build, you can also place a bunch of TNT like this and then put some candles on top, and they will kind of look like individual dynamite sticks. You can even light them if you want, but just be careful you don't accidentally misclick. If you do set off the TNT by accident, it might be possible you need to build a grave, and luckily you can do that with 3 podzol blocks like this, an anvil, a skull of your choice, and a couple of flowers, and then you have a tiny gravestone for whoever died as a result of your TNT accident. Another random build hack is this super thin ladder, which is just a ladder placed on trapdoors, and something really cool you can do is place trapdoors alternating like this with ladders on each of them, and you can make a 1-block spaced working ladder. These tiki torches, which you can make using bamboo fences, and if you want to add some extra detail, you can attach a mob with a lead to the top, but obviously you will have to. You can also make one of those bulrush things that are found in swamps, and if you want to make corn, you can place a bamboo fence on top of 2 bamboo sticks instead. You can also place some bamboo fences alongside some real bamboo to make it look like dead bamboo, and you can even take it a step further with some oak fences which look extra dead. If you want to sell some bamboo on the black market, you can place some signs around the bamboo blocks and it will look like it's packaged up, or you can also stack a bunch of bamboo rafts to make a pile of bamboo. Another cool thing you can do with bamboo is place an item frame underneath a bamboo button to make a block of cheese, but this is probably some pretty moldy cheese. There are a lot of things you can make with a decorated pot, such as this pillar design, this tiny lamp, or this palm tree, which you can even mix with some of the different designs to look like carvings in the wood. But something really cool you can do with these pots is if you place one of these in the ground and then you put a carpet on top of it, it kind of looks like a pet bowl for your dog or your cat or your person. You can also place a pot underneath a moss carpet, and depending on what's around you, it can either look like an anthill or a landmine. If you place these pots with a bunch of gold, they kind of look like money bags, and if you place them with some TNT and then light a candle on top of it, it kind of looks like a bomb that's about to explode. Speaking of bombs, you can also hang one of these pots from a chain and then put a campfire under it like this, and it kind of looks like a cooking pot. You can also build a faucet type thing coming out of the ground and then place a glass pane in a pot underneath it to make it look like it's being filled up with water. Another cool thing you can do is place some pots in a palm tree and they will look like coconuts. And you can place a pot as a base for a street light like this, or you can even place it at the bottom of some bushes, which looks slightly better than a cauldron. You can also place a couple of these pots on top of a house, and if you combine this with some cobwebs, it actually looks like a chimney. But one of the most interesting uses for these pots is to make a punching bag that you are actually able to use in game. Okay, you can't really use it, but you also can't tell me I'm not punching it. Now obviously those hacks are cool, but it's time to show you some of the most illegal build hacks known to man. If you apply this armor trim to a leather helmet and then place it 1 block deep on an armor stand, you can use a piston to push a bookshelf through it, and it kind of looks like a stray book sitting on top of the shelf. Another thing you can do is dig out a big hole and then fill the whole thing with string, and after that you can do a little bit of animal cruelty and cover the whole thing up with carpets to get this rug design. Huh, that's weird. It looks like my rug is moving. Something else you can do with the sniffer is you can place some blocks through a sniffer's nose and then add a slab and some signs on the side to get a really interesting cushion design. Or if you're really ballin', you can use a sniffer's snout as a base to make a golden sink. Another thing you can do with a sniffer's nose is you can place it in the roof and then put a couple of fences and an end rod underneath it to make a lamp. Okay, this one was kind of a stretch. You can still see his face. Something you can do with a camel is you can place its head through a roof and it kind of looks like one of those bear heads you see on a wall in some rich guy's house. And you can also spawn a camel in the ground and then place some sand over top of its head to make it kind of look like a little sand dune coming out of the ground. You can even place a saddle on top of the camel to make it so you can sit down on the beach with a towel beneath you. Now those were definitely some illegal build hacks, but they still aren't the best build hacks in this video. This is a pumpkin, this is a melon, and this is an eggplant. Okay, it's not actually an eggplant, it's cherry wood with a sea pickle on top, but it actually looks pretty close. Another melon trick you can do is place bamboo planks with glow lichen beside a pumpkin, and it kind of looks like a dead pumpkin. Also, if you place a bamboo block in a field of melons, it kind of looks like some kind of squash. Everyone has seen these trapdoors being used as a fence, but you can actually use a hanging sign to make a pretty cool fence as well. Speaking of hanging signs, you can do some really cool things with them, such as this one-way door, which works by hanging a sign from the top and then hanging another sign underneath it. You can also make a little doggy door on the side of your house like this, or you can place it in front of your brand new cherry wood doghouse as well. Staying on the topic of farming, you can place 2 fences in the air like this, and if you place a hanging sign underneath it, it will look like a shovel that is sticking out of the dirt. You can also replace these fences with lightning rods or end rods to make different types of handles as well. If you want to make a table, you can place some hanging signs like this to make table feet, and you can even make the table legs a bit longer if you like things that are longer. Hanging signs can also be used to make a broken jungle bridge or a useless ladder depending on how you see it. And you can place them in a pattern like this to look like a gate that is restricting your access to something. Something I bet you've never seen is a stoplight in Minecraft. Okay, you've probably seen one, I just didn't know what to say, but by placing a red sign, an oak sign, and a blue sign like this, it can kind of look like a stoplight even though two of the colors are wrong. Another thing you can do with the different sign colors is hang them over top of a campfire like this to make different stages of meat cooking. But probably the most interesting hanging sign hack is this parrot perch design. I'm just kidding, it's actually a working swing which can be made using two chains like this, a hanging sign on each side, a trapdoor on the bottom middle, and then a boat as a seat. And after you do that, you have a working swing. Well, you can't really swing on it, but I mean I'm sitting on it, so it kinda works. You can also make another swing by doing the same thing as before, except instead of placing one trapdoor, you place 3 on the bottom and then 3 on the back to get another really cool swing design. This time you aren't able to sit on it. If you're trying to be some type of supervillain, all you have to do is place some redstone behind one of the chiseled bookshelves, and then you can attach a couple regular bookshelves to some sticky pistons to make a secret door inside of your library. Something else you can do with chiseled bookshelves is build a cool floor design like this, and you can even make the bookshelf look like eyes when you put a slab in front of it. If you place the bookshelf with a stone slab in a cave, it kinda looks like something is staring at you through a crack in the wall, but that isn't the coolest thing you can do with the chiseled bookshelf. If you place a bunch of bookshelves beside each other, you can actually build things using the books inside of the bookshelves. I guess suspicious sand isn't the only thing that's sus in this update. Minecraft 1.20 adds a piglin head, and what can you do with it? Well, to start, you can place it on top of an armor stand, but that's boring. Instead, if you want a piglin in the overworld, you can place a piglin head on top of a sign, and it will kind of look like a tiny piglin. And if you really want to be him, you can make a hanging sign float, attach 2 signs on the side, and then add a banner on the back and a piglin head on top to create the boss piglin. His outfit kind of looks like Lord Farquaad. If you want to build some tiny birds, you probably wouldn't think of using a piglin head, but because of the floppy ears, it actually kinda looks like birds in the sky. Of course, you have to make sure not to look at the other side though. If you place a piglin head on the ground and then put a bunch of redstone around it, it looks like a piglin was just decapitated. And if you take it a step further, you can build up with some fences and place some chains and hang a red sign under it to make it look like a guillotine just chopped off its head. Have you ever wanted to build a giant snail? You probably haven't. But you can by placing a cherry slab, a sideways cherry log, and a nether brick wall with a couple of candles on the top. Now we have giant snails to go with our giant spiders. Another giant animal you can build with cherry wood is a pig. If you place 2 upside down stairs like this and add some slabs on the top, you get a pig. You can then add a button on each side for eyes and a cherry button for a nose and a tail for extra detail. Speaking of pigs, you can also make pork with cherry wood. If you place a sideways cherry log and then attach it to 2 fences using chains, it kinda looks like a piece of ham is being cooked over a fire. Another cool cherry wood build is this garden fence, which can be made using an illegal trapdoor technique that I didn't even know existed. You can even climb this thing if you try hard enough, so that's cool. Another thing you can put in your garden is a cherry tree, but not that one is lame. If you use cherry fences as logs and pair it with azalea leaves, you can make a really cool looking miniature tree. Something else that looks cool is this trapdoor window, which you can make using bamboo or cherry wood trapdoors depending on your build. In Minecraft 1.20, a pink boat will be added, but if you think this design is boring, you can actually make your own pink boat instead. If you place some slabs in the water like this and then add a fence in the middle, you can move 2 boats as close to the fence as possible and then add some trapdoors on the side and a flag on the top to make a better looking boat. The only problem is this boat doesn't really move. If you place a netherite upgrade in an item frame, you can use it as an up or down arrow for like an elevator or something, I don't really know. This single warden who really wants to kill me but he can't, so he does this, which is cool and all, but it isn't satisfying. So what will happen if I spawn 100 wardens and have them do the same thing? Oh my god, I'm pretty sure I went so high that it bounced me. And sure, that was satisfying, but not as satisfying as cutting down bamboo in this bamboo-only world, which I actually can't stop doing. And what's even more insane is watching this from above, just like covering the entire world in Skulk, which you can do with the help of a couple million Ravagers and a Skulk Catalyst. And now we wait as the entire world turns into Skulk. Wait, I wonder what would happen if I added even more of these. Okay, I think I broke it. There's a literal Ravager fountain coming from the sky. Oh my god. This is a chest full of random materials, which if placed a bunch of times like this, you can break all the chests and watch all the items fall out, which looks pretty nice. But the best part of this isn't the items falling, it's picking them up, which sounds super satisfying. I could literally do this for hours. Something else you can do is place a bunch of shulkers full of netherite above a lava pool, and then when you break them, this happens. And if you use a command block to place an infinite block like this, and then you use another command block to give yourself a 1 durability pickaxe every tick, you can infinitely break pickaxes, which makes this very satisfying sound. Uh-oh, I think I'm sick. I'm throwing up pickaxes. This is working quicksand in Minecraft, which can be made using this secret formula. First, you place some soul sand on the bottom, then you place some water above, and then you place some cobwebs on top of all that, and after that, you need to just place some sand on top that's ready to be dropped in. And now you can drop the sand and watch it all fall into place, which is pretty satisfying. After that, you have a working quicksand that you can't escape. But that's not the most satisfying part. If you remove the cobwebs like this, and then drop some more sand on the top, you can make this really cool bubbling effect, which looks like it doesn't even belong in the game. This effect can also be used in a square like this, which looks pretty nice, especially when all the sand and gravel breaks at the end. Or you can drop a line of sand and gravel like this, which kind of looks like a worm when it first drops. Another thing I found that looks pretty cool is this concrete powder turning to concrete like this, and I also tried it in a line, which looks pretty nice as well. This is a village that has a massive amount of dripstone above it, which is already kind of cool to look at, and I'm going to be dropping the dripstone on the village using this machine here. Oh my god, I think my PC is going to explode. Hopefully it looks good on replay, because I literally can't see anything. Okay, somehow we actually had a couple of survivors this time, but I'm going to add a layer of anvils, sand, and gravel to drop on the village as well. And now let's spawn Timothy. Hopefully he survives. Okay, first let's drop the anvils. That was much less laggy. Now let's add some sand. It's looking like Bikini Bottom down there. And finally the gravel. Okay, there's no way Timothy survived all that. Oh wait, he's actually right here. Honestly, doing that had me feeling like I was 9 years old again, so let's try some things we all did as kids in Minecraft. First, I'm going to be burning down a forest. Okay, this is taking forever. I guess I have to do it the old-fashioned way. Now that's some good forest burning. What about blowing up a ton of TNT? I think this was a mistake. If you make a box like this, and then place a repeating command block to spawn zombies, you can make an infinitely dying zombie. That's not what I meant to do. What you can actually do is spawn a bunch of zombies inside of the box, and then you can kill them all with a sweeping edge 100 sword, and it's honestly pretty satisfying. I wonder what happens if we make the box even bigger. Okay, that was so much better. Another satisfying way to kill a bunch of mobs is with a piercing crossbow. But this crossbow isn't gonna cut it. It only killed 4 of them. We need a max piercing crossbow. Alright, and let's kill the villagers in 3, 2, 1... Okay, it didn't reach the end, but we'll just pretend it did. What happens if you break these plants that go up to sky limit? It's literally raining twisted vines. Now let's do the cactus. Okay, that one actually looked kind of nice. What about the sugar cane? Whatever this thing is. And finally, bamboo. Bamboo definitely has my favorite sound out of these. But something that might sound better is a massive dripstone hitting the ground. Okay, let's just use this genius redstone timer to make sure we don't miss the sound. And now we fall all the way to the bottom. I like how it just gets faster the more that fall. Apparently if you place a bunch of end crystals inside of each other, it looks really satisfying. But it doesn't seem to be working for me, so I guess we have to use a command block. I think we placed them on the wrong block, but it's definitely working. This thing actually looks so cool. I can't believe this is in Minecraft. Wait, I wonder what happens if we touch it. For this next one, let's build a giant cactus farm. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Just watching them pop up all over the place is really satisfying. Another satisfying thing we can do is place skulk sensors in a row like this, and then we can fill all the empty slots up with TNT. And now finally, if we drop an item on it, it makes this really cool pulsing effect. Oh yeah, I forgot it would all blow up. For this next experiment, we are going to need a massive pyramid, so let's build that. Okay, that literally took me almost 30 minutes and I didn't even finish it. But now what we can do is place water in the middle and watch it all flow down the pyramid. Was that worth the 30-minute wait? Probably not. We can also drain all the water as well, but it's definitely not as satisfying as watching it flow down the pyramid. Earlier, we dropped a bunch of anvils on a village, but I wonder what it would look like if we dropped it on a regular world. Okay, it kind of just started. I didn't mean for that to happen. But yeah, that was still pretty cool. Now let's take a break from experiments and check out some of the most satisfying maps in Minecraft. These are 7 colored rings made by Bosca Winks, and when you fly through them one after another, it's actually really cool to look at. Just like this massive spiral made by Amy Oak, which looks especially cool if you fly through it with an elytra like this. This is an island in the shape of a Mobius strip that was also made by Amy Oak, which I honestly have no idea how it works, but it's definitely really satisfying to look at. And another thing that I don't understand is this Penrose triangle made by Aliscata, which also looks really cool from far away. Wait, I wonder what will happen if I turn it to sand. These next 3 builds were made by Adamax EP, and these are more like illusions, but they are still really satisfying to look at, especially this one, which will probably make you dizzy if you spin fast enough. If you put a Jeb name tag on a sheep, it makes it rainbow, so I wonder what will happen if I make a big pit and fill it with Jeb sheep. This is pretty normal, I see this every day in survival. Okay, now this is insane, you can barely even tell that there are sheep in the hole. Next, let's create a sand-only world and see what happens. Oh wait, I have to break the block first. There's a short amount of time before it becomes way too laggy. So now let's make it laggier with concrete. This would probably look so cool if it wasn't a slideshow. Next, I decided to make a sapling only world, and watching them grow was actually really satisfying. I can't move on until all the holes are filled. Another experiment similar to this idea is making a drip leaf only world. I honestly had no idea what would happen with this one, but it's probably one of my favorites so far. And the last world I made was a cactus only world, but it didn't really go well, so we'll just move on. If you place 2 slabs like this, and then you push them together with a piston, you can make an illegal slab. So I wonder what it would look like if we copied the build a bunch of times to make a wall of illegal slabs. Honestly, I'm not sure if this is satisfying, but it's definitely pretty cool, and also really laggy. Picking up a ton of XP can also be pretty satisfying. Okay, it just won't stop. It's been doing this for like 5 minutes. And for the last experiment, I decided to put some bees in a nest. A lot of bees. Okay, if we set it to day, they should all come out at the same time. Oh my god. Yeah, I don't even know if that was satisfying. It's kind of unsettling, actually. I'm sick of all these new Minecraft updates. Like, what even is a loom? When did they add this? They added it almost 7 years ago. What am I doing? So, for the next 100 days, I'm going to be playing Minecraft Alpha, one of Minecraft's oldest versions. Also, my game updates every 5 days. That's probably pretty important. On day 1, I did the regular Minecraft stuff. I cut down a tree, got some stone tools, and then I punch-sheared some sheep and made a full set of wool armor. Just a normal first day in Minecraft. You might have noticed there are a lot of things you can't do in this version, like sprinting, crouching, dragging items, F5. Well, you can F5, but it kind of looks like this. But there are obviously some things that you can do, like building an epic house, collecting every block, and finding the rarest item. That's the stuff I'm gonna do. But right now, we're just going to find a place to build a house so I don't get murdered by mobs. I found the perfect place to build my house, and I built a giant pillar into the sky to mark the area, but then there was a problem. I don't know how to get down from here. I decided to do a ladder MLG, and I obviously landed it, no question there. I replenished my health bar and cut down a few trees in the area, and then I started digging out an area to build the most epic house in Minecraft. Okay, the roof's still kinda missing. It's work in progress. For the rest of the day, I searched for coal, and I just couldn't find it. So my only source of light for the night was just this furnace. Yo, who let him cook? On day 2, I found out you can make smooth stone slabs from cobblestone, and then I added a roof to my house. Hardcore YouTubers be like. I'm just kidding, this is the house. It looks a lot better? Don't worry, this is only like 1% of what it will be at the end of the video. I managed to get some coal, so I lit up my house with some torches, and then I built a floor out of stone slabs. I also made a chest to store my blocks because I'm collecting every block. This is what we have so far. Not very much. After that, it was getting dark, so I figured it was time to go caving. I basically got a 5-star wanted level the second I stepped foot in a cave. There's also no audio in this version, so things like this creeper trying to exterminate my bloodline are very common. So within less than 10 minutes, I was walking back up to the surface on 4.5 hearts with no food. It looks like caving in this version might actually be hard, but that's okay because I like things that are hard.
What do you mean by that?
On day 3, I was supposed to look for food, but instead I started mining some sand because I need it for every block. I'm sorry about that edit, guys. I have a sand addiction. After the sand, it was pig murder time, and then I cooked some pig and some glass. Oh yeah, I also never mentioned that cooking pigs gives you steak in this version. Kinda weird. I spam hoed some grass to get some seeds, and then I planted a little farm on the side of my house. Not the other half, though. I don't deserve that yet. After that, I added some windows to my house and put a little pathway in front, and then the house was actually looking kinda drippy. Confidence is what you need to go caving in this version, and also a large amount of meat. So since I have one of those, I think it's time to go caving again. Okay, I managed to mine a lot of iron as you could see, but what I'm mainly looking for is some diamonds. I need 10 to collect every block, and I also want to get max drip at some point in this video, but right now we only have 0. I do have full iron though. For the rest of the day I just kept caving. Yeah, that basically summarized my caving experience. On day 5, I decided the cave life was not for me, and it was time to strip mine. I found a weird glitch that almost killed me, but other than that, I found nothing. I heard 90% of miners quit before hitting it big, and I joined the 90%, making my way back up to surface. For the rest of the day, I did some stuff like mining more coal, lighting up the entire area around my base, and making a hole to collect some passive mobs to breed. Does my hole look good? Yes or no? Then I just continued making the front of my house better, and I watched the sunrise cinematically. Day 6 is Secret Friday. That's what they used to call the updates. Also, it's not a secret, it came out 13 years ago. In this update, they added snow and ice to the world generation, and I need snow for every block, so I went on a journey to look for it. The information I lacked at this time, though, was that you need a world that was in winter mode to find these 2 blocks. So basically, I was just completely wasting my time. I'm pretty sure there aren't any biomes in the game yet, so everything just kinda looks the same. But even if everything looks the same, there's still something about it that looks so good. It's probably the fact that everything has thumbnail level saturation on it. On day 7, I made my way back to my base. I tried to lure some sheep into the hole I made, but then I realized that you can't do that in alpha. You also can't breed mobs. I don't know why I didn't think of that. I spent most of the day upgrading the front of my base even more, and then it was back to the caves, again. Why are there so many animals in the cave? I found nothing really while caving, just the coal and iron like usual, and then I got jump scared by a creeper. Since diamonds don't seem to be an option right now, I decided to just work on my house on day 8. And for this next build, we are going to need a lot of wood. So I started a mass deforestation. I was cutting down every tree within a 1,000-mile radius. But don't worry, for every tree I broke, I was planting them back. Alright, now that we have all this wood, I honestly don't remember what I was going to do with it. Oh yeah, I was making a mine shaft. That's what I was doing with the wood. Mining mine. That's a pretty sick name. Next, I replaced some stone with cobblestone and gravel to make the mine look a bit nicer. And by the end of day 9, I was finished the shaft, and then it was Secret Friday. It's still not a secret. I'm reading a list of everything added right now. This list includes boats, cactuses, clay, reeds, bricks, slimes, bookshelves, and your mom. Haha, get it? I'm sorry. But that isn't all the updates, and the last update is a very controversial one. The Goofy F5 has been removed, and it has been replaced with Fortnite F5 instead. I'm pretty much finished upgrading my base for now, so I think I'm going to hunt for some of the new blocks because I'm still missing a lot of them. So I guess it's time for us to hit the water. I don't think that's what that means. Okay, we found some cows. That's not really a block, but it is new. Something about these cows just does not look right. For the rest of the day, I kept searching for the new blocks. First, I found some reeds, and then I found some clay right after, and finally I found a stray cactus in the open. Not really sure if cactuses belong here. At the end of the day, I made my way back to my base and crafted every block that I had resources for. Okay, we're only actually missing 19 blocks. The only problem is some of them aren't even in the game yet. On day 11, I made a gold block and an iron block. Kinda forgot the texture used to look like this. And I also crafted some bricks. I used to love bricks when I was younger. Okay, that sounded kinda sus. I planted a cactus and made a sugarcane farm, and then I crafted a block of TNT. Alright, now there's only 15 blocks left, and most of them are in the caves, so it's time to go back. You might have thought the mobs were bad the first few times I went caving, but the last update on day 10 added something that I was not ready for. They're literally hitting me through the walls. Apparently Alpha V1.0.11 is the Slimepocalypse update, so instead of dealing with that, I decided decided to strip mine the rest of the day. I found nothing. On day 12, I got tired of strip mining, so I decided to take on the slimes. I almost died immediately. Everything was okay though, because I actually found a method to exterminate the slimes. I continued exploring the caves, and I was actually feeling pretty confident despite having 1 armor bar and an infinite amount of slimes attacking me. Eventually this confidence got the best of me though, because I died to slimes. Okay, technically I didn't die to slimes, I accidentally lavaed myself, and I don't really know which one of those is more embarrassing. All I do know is I only have 5 minutes to get my items back. Oh no, guys, this is really intense. I wonder if he will get his stuff back. These stakes are insane. I got my stuff back. I'm honestly not sure how it didn't burn though. For the rest of the day I continued exploring and I still found nothing, so I went back up to surface so I could at least craft some of the blocks I'm missing. I crafted some rails and an iron door, which puts me 2 blocks closer to collecting every block. I also forgot to save an iron ore to put in the chest, so we're still missing one of the easiest blocks. On day 14 I wanted to stop my crops from being trampled, so I remade my farm. There are no fences in the game yet, so this will have to do. I also crafted a bookshelf, which was another block that I'm missing, and then I captured a sheep. I think it's about that time in the video where the YouTuber gives the mob a name. That's his name. That's what I'm naming him. After naming my new pet sheep, it was time to go caving for the 400th time. I'm going to save you the details on this one. Getting annoyed by slimes? Check. Strip mining time? Check. Diamonds? Check. Wait, that's out of the ordinary. It was only 3 diamonds, so I decided to make a pickaxe, and because of this pickaxe, I was able to mine some obsidian. Another block for the list of blocks. Bro, can this guy just shut up already? I also found diamonds again, and then I went back up to surface because it was time for Secret Friday. It's still not Friday. This update added chickens and music discs, but none of those are important. What is important is the jukebox, because we need it for the blocks. Yeah. I made an irresponsible decision and wasted one of my 2 diamonds on the jukebox, but I mean, it's progression, right? I'm sure I won't regret this in the future. This update is also supposed to fix the slime problem. I hope that is true. I decided to go find a chicken for some reason. I don't know why. It's not like I've never seen one before. And after finding a chicken, I came back to my base to find my sheep was dead, so I made a grave for it. Okay, it probably just despawned. There's nothing that would kill it in this game except me. It wasn't me, I swear. On day 16, I found that slimes are definitely not fixed. I hit the strip mines again, and in my notes it says not sure if I found diamonds, too lazy to check. I'm not checking. I'm just kidding. I actually did check, and I found 3 veins of diamonds in the same strip mine. I don't know how I went from 0 diamonds to this. On day 17, I crafted the coveted diamond block, and this was huge because every block that required diamonds was now found. Now we only need to get full diamond armor. On the next day, I found some diamonds, and then I found more, and after a little bit of mining, I found another big cave, this time with no slimes. I must have won the Minecraft lottery or something, because I found 2 more diamond veins back to back. And on day 19, I headed back up to surface feeling like I had just robbed somebody's tomb. I figured that I had done enough caving for now, so I went around harvesting my farms and smelted some iron. I also decided to make middle pieces, and now I was halfway to full diamond, so that's pretty sick. For some reason, this armor also had me feeling crazy, so I went out at night to fight some mobs. It feels like I'm playing Fortnite right now. Oh no, I think someone died here. I spent the rest of the day watching the sunrise, and then it was day 20. Okay, things are getting serious now because this is actually the update where Herobrine was first spotted. Hopefully we don't run into him. Fences and spider jockeys were also added in this update, but most importantly, they finally fixed F5. No more goofy running and no more Fortnite. I made some fences to replace the bootleg fences I had on my farm, and for some reason they just don't connect to blocks. After that, I noticed my cactus farm was getting kinda crazy, so I figured it was time to transform the space a little bit more. I have a plan to build something huge on top of this mountain, but for now, let's start making this area around it look a little bit nicer. Wait, that chicken is crazy with it. From days 21 to 24, I was just building. I made a big pathway going to the bottom of the hill, and then I built a new cactus farm. I also made a bunch of these walls out of wood and cobblestone, and then I tried to place some stairs. Yeah, apparently you can't do that in this version. I added a few more details to the walls, and then I added a layer of oak planks on the outside of the farm. As it was getting dark, I finished the perimeter, and I was able to take a look at my progress while waiting for the sun to rise. The lighting makes it look awful, but I'm actually happy with how it turned out so far. The house on the top has to go though, and it will in the future. On day 25, I was tired of building, but luckily it was Secret Friday and the compass was added. Yay! At the beginning of this video, I told you I was going to find the rarest item, and I never told you what it is. I mean, you could probably tell what it is, but if you can't for some reason, it's a golden apple. Now that we have a compass, I can go search for some spawners, which is the only place you can get it. We also need mossy cobblestone for from a spawner for the blocks, so I'm going to go look for one of those. I found nothing on day 25, and on day 26 I was still searching for a spawner. The only difference is this time I actually found it. Why is there no mob in the middle? It's just a spawner. I looted the chest and found nothing. I decided to mine all the mossy cobblestone in case I need it for a future build, and then I continued my search. I found a cave, so I explored that, and I also found some diamonds, and on day 27 I found more diamonds. I also found more diamonds again, and after finding those diamonds I was able to make full diamond, so now we've officially completed one of our goals. Well, it wasn't an official goal, but it still makes me feel good, so it counts. On day 28 I found a new cave. There was nothing in it. So I found another new cave. There was nothing in it as well. So I went and found another cave. There's still nothing in any of these caves. I'm starting to understand why the golden apple is the rarest item. On cave number 4 I was able to find some more diamonds. I found like 4 veins in a matter of seconds, and it honestly looked like I did some mining off camera. I decided to make all the diamond tools, including the hoe, because I was ballin' like that. It's nether portals with the corner blocks from here on. On day 29 I actually found another spawner, but all it had was nothing again, so I decided to go back to my base. Day 30 is Secret Friday, and you might have noticed that sound was added. This update also brought us crouching and the ability to change your sensitivity, so this is a pretty W update. Oh yeah, and there are also fishing rods. They are completely useless and you can stack them, that's it. I have these objectives I need to complete, and one of these goals is to build an epic house. No offense to the house we have right now, but it's just not epic. I know I said I was going to put something better on the top of the mountain, but right now we are not doing that. Instead, we are going to build it right here, so let's start terraforming. Okay, this area is looking pretty good, so now it's time to build the house. For some reason, when I was younger, I was obsessed with these modern houses, so I'm going to be building one of those. I started to lay out a foundation for the house, starting with the pillars, and I ran out of stone pretty quickly, so I went and killed some pigs. I don't think those two are related. And then I started adding some stone slabs on the outside. So if you can't tell by now, this build is going to take a lot of stone. On day 32, would you have guessed that I started the day by mining stone? I finished the bottom layer, so I started building the pillars up even higher. After that, I filled the entire floor with wood planks except for the front section, because that's going to be a garage. Why do I need a garage in my Minecraft house? I don't know. Why do you not subscribed yet? I also have to place 1 million torches on this build, or we will get some unwanted visitors. The pigs are fine. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about these guys. Day 33 was slightly different because instead of mining stone, I cut down a bunch of trees. I also filled in the rest of the first floor and moved on to filling in the second floor. And at the end of the day, I smelted even more stone, and then I started on the roof. The roof is interesting because it's going to take me 10 times more slabs than the rest of the house. On day 34, I finished about 2 layers of the roof before it was stone mining time again. But first, let's take a look at the house. This is how the house looks right now. I think it's missing something. Today I had a method. I cut some trees before the sun went down, and then I spent the rest of the day mining cobblestone while it was dark outside. I was also killing both birds with 1 stone by strip mining to try to find diamonds. It was almost a bad idea though because, well, you can see on the video. I apologize to any blind viewers. I just landed a sick MLG and trick shot. The lava sounds were Photoshop. Day 35 is a crazy day. It's Secret Saturday. Yeah, for some reason they dropped the update on a Saturday this time. Not for me though, it's not Saturday. This update added the nether, pumpkins, the clock, fishing. Oh yeah, and the game looks completely different. This was the first update with biomes, which means different color foliage, like the grass and stuff. It also means we can finally get snow. I made a clock for some reason, and then I went down to get obsidian to visit the nether. I didn't really want to go to the nether in this version because it's kind of useless, but if you already forgot, I'm collecting every block, and there are 3 new blocks in the nether. Also, I lied on day 28. We're not building a portal with the corners. I collected some soul sand and some netherrack, and then I collected glowstone, which is super annoying because it only drops 1 dust in this version, and you need 9 of them to craft the block instead of 4. I got everything I needed from the nether, so I went back and added the 3 blocks to the chest. Now we just need to get a pumpkin and a snow block. I ended up finding snow pretty quickly, which was cool, but you might have noticed that my house has no walls, and that is because the walls are supposed to be made out of snow. So this little amount of snow up here, it's not going to cut it. We need a snow biome. I continued searching for snow and I found a pumpkin on my way there. I also found an area that had every single biome like basically connected, including a snow biome. So I started mining snow, and I mined snow. Yeah, I mined snow for the rest of this day, slowly filling my inventory with snow blocks. Even when it got dark, I was out there grinding. I was also getting harassed by spiders. After another almost full day of shoveling, I felt like it was time to go back. So on day 38, I made my way back home and added the new blocks to the chest. Oh yeah, I also had to craft a jack-o'-lantern. Apparently those existed in alpha. After adding the blocks to the chest, I had officially collected every obtainable block, and now I just need to put them somewhere to display my greatness. But first, we still have to finish the house we were working on. I finished the walls and then I got attacked by some zombies. They're just jealous of these dirt stairs. For the rest of the day, I worked on finishing the roof, and I also added some doors to the house. Hopefully that will keep the zombies out. On the next day, it was update day, but unfortunately this update added nothing important. As you can see, the house is looking pretty good so far, but it still needs some windows. This is me mining the sand that is going to be used to make those windows. This time I don't have a sand addiction. I started placing some of the windows and then more of these guys showed up. I swear the second one just spawned out of thin air. These guys are out to ruin my house. On day 41, I mined sand again and I finished the first floor windows. The next day I finally finished the roof and I used the extra stone I had to put an outline around the house for some extra detail. I also got more glass, so I added some glass on the edge of this balcony and I finished the windows on the second floor. I also added some stairs up to the second floor and I added some stone railings on the side. The stone looks really bad. I'm actually going to remove it. On day 43, I took another look at the house. It's honestly looking pretty good at this point. At this point, I could say I was finished with the exterior and it was time to move on to the interior. I built a wall to create a little room at the back of the house, and then I started moving some of my stuff to a storage area. I also started to replace the garage floor with gravel as a kind of a road. I don't know, there aren't many blocks in this version. The next day I cut down some wood, mined some gravel, expanded the road out a bit, and terraformed the lake in front so at least the road doesn't go into the water. Eventually the road just ends though, and that makes no sense, but I don't care. Day 45 is update day, and this update added only one thing: portals. Well, they were already in the game, but now you can kind of just place them. I got distracted and spammed portals everywhere, which probably isn't a good idea because I can't really break them. It takes forever. After that, I built a little fishing dock on the lake, and then I took a look at my progress. It's looking pretty sick. I added some stuff like this couch made out of a very comfortable material, this table, and this epic water feature. On day 46, I went back to the nether to get glowstone, and the ghast wouldn't leave me alone. I also don't know why I got glowstone. I don't remember using it in this build at all. I added some paintings around the house like this one, which costed me $1 billion at an auction. That's why I have two of them right beside each other. I also found some evidence of me placing the glowstone, so I guess I did use it. Next, I put some flowers outside of the house, and since there are no beds in this version, I decided to make my own bed out of my favorite sleeping material, gold blocks. A full gold bed is a crazy flex. I also wanted to add a motivational quote to the wall. Something like, "You miss 100% of the shots you don't take," or "Opportunities don't happen, you create them." Let's get this bread. On day 48, I was pretty much finished the house, but I'm still missing a garage door, and unfortunately Home Depot doesn't exist in this version, so I have to get the stuff to build that. I wanted to make the garage door out of iron blocks, so I decided to spend the next few days caving, mainly to get a bunch of iron, but also to try to find a golden apple, because we still need that. So on day 49, I did some caving, and on day 50, I did some caving as well. This was also update day, and all it really added was coordinates, and on day 51, I was still caving, and from days 52 to 54, I caved. Now, did I find a golden apple in that time? Well, let's see. During that time, I found 4 spawners, and none of them had a golden apple. But I did find enough iron to finish my garage door. After that, I stared at my completed house until the sun rose, and it became day 55. It's Secret Friday, but this update added nothing. And that's kind of what there is to do today. Nothing. I obviously still need to find a golden apple, but I'm not spending the rest of the 100 days doing that. That would be boring. Instead, I think it's finally time to do something about the old boring house on top of this mountain. Okay, so basically I want to build a castle/museum for all the blocks I collected earlier in the video, but in order to make this castle, and yes, it will literally be this castle, this is my inspiration, I need to make this hill a lot bigger. So I spent the rest of the day forming the Terra, and on day 56, that's also what I did. On day 57, I continued filling in the mountain, but I ran out of dirt, so I mined dirt for the rest of the day. And on the next day, I finished filling in the top of the mountain, but obviously the sides need to be filled too, so I started filling the sides as well. This is so fun. Man, I love filling things. I managed to fill the left side, which was the smallest, and now you can see it actually looks pretty cool. Well, it looks like a normal mountain, but that was the goal. I also finished the back side, so on day 59, it was time to start working on the big side. This side is huge, so it's probably going to take a while. I pretty much immediately fell off the side and blew a creeper, and then I went and mined more dirt because I ran out. Running out of dirt in Minecraft twice is crazy. I got griefed by skeletons while filling in the wall, and on day 60, I was finally finished filling the wall. It may not seem like it took that long because of editing, but it literally took me 5 days to make that mountain. 5 Minecraft days, just to be clear. Also, today was update day, but it still adds nothing. There were no good updates after the nether one. On day 61, I'm putting a picture of the castle on the screen again to remind you. The materials to make this castle basically don't exist, so we're going to improvise on the materials I use. If improvise means come up with a stupid idea of using clay and bricks, then I guess I improvised. Let me tell you why this was a stupid idea while footage from 4 whole Minecraft days plays in the background. Basically, clay is very rare. That's it. That's why it was dumb. After returning to my base on day 64, I only had 14 stacks of clay. Yeah, that definitely won't be enough to make this castle. Day 65 was the last update of Minecraft Alpha, and you guessed it. It added flying pigs. No, it actually added nothing again. Now that I had the materials for the castle, or at least I thought I did, I decided it was finally time to remove the original house. Also, I had to get rid of the grave for the sheep, whatever his name was. Is this messed up? After removing the house, it was time to start making the gate at the front of the castle. I'm pretty sure I finished building up these pillars out of clay, and on the next day I put some cobblestone on the roof of them. Okay, that looks really bad. I tried to fix the pillar, but it somehow looked even worse, so I just put it back to how it was. After that, I started making the wall. The next day I did the same thing, until I realized that smelting clay takes forever, so I started building those castle wall type things on the top. Next, I decided to make a side building out of snow. I have no idea why I did this. I don't have much snow left. I also started building this tower, except instead of being white, I'm making it out of wood, because wood is easy to get. I ran out of wood. At least wood is easy to get because on day 69 I just mined wood all day. I also didn't make a day 69 joke because I'm not immature and childish. Day 70 I was mining stone, and that's basically what I did for the next 2 days mixed with some more wood mining. It's also kind of funny because I thought this would be my last time mining materials. Day 72 I built up some oak log pillars on the side of the tower, and then I built the tower up. This continued into day 63 where I also started placing some slabs on the side for detail. But while I was doing that, tragedy struck. I tried to build a little room on the top of the tower, but then I realized I hit the height limit. Yeah, apparently the height limit in Minecraft Alpha is only 128 blocks. So for the rest of the day I mined everything down, and then I did everything I just did and built a room in the middle with another ugly cobblestone roof on the top. On day 74, the tower was finished. I decided to work on another side building, and at this point it's been almost 20 days and I haven't even started the main castle yet. I don't understand how I keep missing every MLG. I took a quick break to cook some food, and by the end of the day I was finished building the side building. So on day 75, it was finally time to start building the main building. I built some stairs for the entrance, and then I started building up the front wall. This is what I had near the end of the day. It's kinda dark. On day 76, I put a roof on the castle, and then I started working on a little building on the side. This is the last building, I swear. This building was basically the same as the other ones, and after finishing it, I decided to add a tower coming from the middle of the building. I'm using stone this time. I'm never mining another piece of clay again. I spent the rest of the day building the tower, and things were starting to look good. So the next day I placed some walls on the other sides, and then I made the roof of the castle a little bit longer. I don't really remember why. On day 78 I ran out of wood. Honestly, I'm surprised it even lasted this long. And while chopping trees, I got to take a look at the castle from afar. Yeah, that will probably look good when it's finished. This was also the day that I decided to turn the Minecraft music on. I don't think I've ever once listened to the music in Minecraft. I would usually just get my ears blasted after opening my game, and then I would disable it. But something about this Minecraft music just hits different when you are playing the oldest version. On day 79, I built a stone tower on the other side of the main building. By now, you've probably seen too many walls. I've done a lot of placing walls. So just know that I was pretty much finished the exterior at the end of the day, so I did a quick castle check again. Pretty much the same as before. On day 80, I finished building the right side tower, and I actually completely finished the exterior. It looks kinda dumb because of the clouds, but this shot is too good not to put in the video. The next day I started filling the floors with wood, and I started with the second floor, which was easy because I left space for a little balcony thing to look over the first floor. There are going to be 4 floors in total, and I finished both the second and third floor pretty quickly, so I moved on to the first floor, which was kind of funny because there is a giant cave underneath the floor that got created when I terraformed the mountain. On day 82, I was still filling in the first floor because it was a full floor, and then unfortunately I ran out of wood again. I remember saying on like day 70 that this would be my last time getting materials, which just wasn't true at all. But somehow I'm not really bothered by this. Everything is just so slow in Minecraft Alpha, but for some reason I've enjoyed playing this version so much more than any modern version of Minecraft. I mean, I've been working on a single build for almost 30 Minecraft days, which is like 10 hours in real time, and I'm not even finished. Yet it's the most fun I've had playing survival in probably like ever. On day 83, I was back to filling in the floor. I finished filling in the final floor, which was extra annoying because there were clouds flying through my face every 2 seconds. The next day I finished flooring the other rooms that weren't in the main building of the castle, and then I added some windows on one of the side buildings to give it some extra detail. The problem with these windows is that they don't have windows in them though. So to keep the medieval theme, I want to use fences as windows. I was totally wrong about using fences as windows. For some reason they don't connect to the blocks. So instead I just added some railings on the inside of the building, and then I decided to just use glass to make the windows. The only problem was I only had 10 glass and 38 sand, so it was sand mining time. On day 85 I added some interior to the front towers while waiting for my glass to smelt, and then I placed windows all around the castle. So many windows you can call me Bill Gates. No one should actually do that. After that I finished the interior from the beginning of the day, and I also might have accidentally killed a pig. Technically I didn't touch him, this one isn't on me. I needed snow for one of the first buildings I made, so on day 86 I went looking for some snow. There's something about this version that just reminds me of the first time I played Minecraft. In one of my earliest memories of playing Minecraft, I had like this creative world which I built a giant castle in. Well, it probably wasn't giant, I was like 9 or 10 years old, but I would work on this build every day, and one day I remember I somehow died in my creative world. Don't even ask how that is possible. And I completely lost my builds because I didn't know what the chords were. So I just cried for hours and hours over losing my Minecraft world. I was loving the craft so much that I cried over Minecraft. On day 87 I filled in the snow on the wall, and then I used the extra snow to fill in the parts on top of the castle that I never filled in. After that I worked on finishing the brick wall, which is funny because it was the first thing I built on the castle and it's the last thing that got finished. I also added a gravel path going towards the entrance, and then I threw in some fences for extra detail. I made a fountain in the middle of the courtyard, I think is what they call it, and it took me forever to make this water flow properly because I'm stupid. I added some glowstone on top of these fences, but I ran out, so instead I put torches like this on the other ones to light up the area. On day 89 I put a farm and some flowers in front of the castle, and then for the final part of the build, I started building a mixed cobblestone and mossy cobblestone wall on the side. I've officially finished the castle. It took me 35 days to build this. I want to say it doesn't even look that bad considering the limitations of building in Minecraft Alpha. It definitely looks better than the modern house, no offense. I just said no offense to myself. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how this thing turned out. It's definitely better than anything I could have built when I was 10 years old. We should also probably get rid of this pillar in the top right, but it's been there since day 1, so at this point I'm just going to leave it. Now obviously I built this castle with a purpose, and that was to put all the blocks I collected earlier on display. So I placed a bunch of lame blocks on the first floor, and then I put some slightly better ones on the second floor, and then some decent blocks got put on the third floor, and finally I placed the most wicked blocks on the top floor. Obsidian, mossy cobblestone, iron block, gold block, and diamond block. And that's it. That's every block in Minecraft Alpha in a museum. Now you might have thought we've done it all because I built a castle, but you might remember that I still have one objective left. I still need to find the golden apple. Now this castle took forever to build, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't think we have enough time to find a golden apple, but we have to try. I ended up traveling thousands of blocks and went through a bunch of spawners trying, but honestly I kind of hoped I didn't find the golden apple. Because for one, this would just seem scripted if I find it on day 99, but also finding a golden apple doesn't actually mean anything to me. I mean, after all, this is Minecraft Alpha. There is no objective in the game, no ender dragon, no achievements. Other than a slight outline of what you're supposed to do, you really can do anything. And maybe that's the way it's supposed to be. So on day 99, I didn't find a spawner, but I did return to my base. And on day 100, I did the corniest thing you can do at the end of a 100 days video. I watched the sunrise one final time, completely naked. Well, Steve has clothes on by default, but you get what I mean. And at the end of the day, I decided to visit my old Minecraft world from when I was 10. Okay, I don't think this is the same one, but it's the replacement world for the one that I lost. And as you can see, there was a castle. It was much better than the one I built today, obviously. I mean, look at this genius architecture. I spent the rest of the day looking around at all the amazing things I built, and I even found a sign hidden in all this mess. Burger King. This is supposed to be Burger King. Yeah, that says a lot. So a while ago, Wait, no. A literal year ago, I played Minecraft Alpha, and I guess I forgot to make a part 2. So today we are back playing Minecraft Beta, and if you haven't watched the first video already, basically what I'm gonna be doing is updating my game every 5 days until we reach the last version of Minecraft Beta. And in the first video, we did a lot of different things, like building this giant castle. We collected every block, and then I stored them all inside of the castle. So what I'm gonna be doing in this video is very similar. We're going to go out and find all the new blocks and items that were added in Minecraft Beta 1.2. Minecraft Beta 1.2 added a couple things, such as the cake, the dispenser, lapis blocks obviously, because they're made from lapis, note blocks, sandstone, spruce wood, birch wood, and dyed wool, except for brown. For some reason you can't get brown wool yet. The items it added were bones, bone meal, ink sacks, charcoal, dyes, and sugar. And there's also now colored sheep and squids, which you can do something pretty cool with that I'll show you later in the video. A couple random things is hovering items shows their name now. Apparently that was added. And eggs can be thrown. But I don't even remember there being eggs in Minecraft Alpha, so we're gonna have to go find some eggs as well. So I'm gonna start off with the things that I can craft right now, and then we'll go look for some of the other blocks. I honestly left the last video pretty poor. I basically used all my diamond stuff to build this castle. I remember I made like 6 pickaxes and like 20 shovels at least. So I'm not really sure what we can make right now. I have some sand, so I guess we can make sandstone. I think it's just like this. Oh my god, I forgot you can't drag stuff in the crafting table. You have to click one by one. Okay, so we got our sandstone. That's 1 block down. And I guess we'll just put it with the sand for now. We can also make a dispenser probably, but I don't even know how you make a dispenser to begin with. I'm definitely not looking up the recipe. Okay, so we need a bow and redstone. I'm not sure if we even have any redstone. I'm not gonna lie. We can make a bow though. Okay, we actually have a lot more stuff than I remember. We still have 24 diamonds left, and we have the rest of our tools. Okay, we do have redstone. So let's make our bow. And let's put our redstone like this. And yeah, that's how you make a dispenser. Okay, we'll just put this with the sandstone for now. We can also make a note block. Oh, wait, this is how you make a jukebox. I really don't know how to craft anything in this game. Okay, so a note block doesn't require a diamond. It's just a redstone. Using a lot of redstone right now. Okay, so we make a chest and we put redstone, and now we have a note block. And now I think the last thing we can make, other than the dyed wool, but we'll do the dyed wool all at once later, is a cake. Which once again, I have no idea how to craft a cake. But I'm going to guess, I think it actually needs a bucket of milk. Okay, we do have an egg. Eggs were real. I think you need an egg, wheat, sugar, and a bucket of milk. Not sure what order you put them in the crafting. Okay, so you actually need 3 buckets of milk. I do not have that right now, so we're gonna have to go find a cow. Let's also hope I have some iron. I'm not seeing any iron in these chests. Alright, let's go look for some cows. It's also turning dark outside. I kind of forgot you can't sleep during the night in this version. That's kind of annoying. Okay, where are the cows? We got some pigs right here. Actually, gonna kill this guy really quickly. I'd rather eat the raw food if I don't have to heal. Okay, there's a cow over here. Okay, that's 1. Okay, that's 2. And that's 3. I guess the cow has infinite milk. Alright, let's go back to this other house we have, and we'll craft a cake. And then after that, we can go look for some of the other stuff. Alright, there's already mobs spawning everywhere. Alright, here's our crafting table, and we put 3 wheat on the bottom like this, an egg in the middle, and I only got 1 sugar. Okay, we have to go get sugar cane. There's already dyed sheep spawning. I guess we can cross that one off the list. Pretty sure the only sugar cane I have is all the way over here. I really don't want these creepers blowing anything up, so we're going the long way. Alright, now there's like 30 cows. Before there was only 1. Okay, and all the sugarcane is down here. I don't think I ever used this farm in the video as well. I think this is literally the first time. I might as well harvest the whole thing. And now we'll make our sugar, and we can put the wheat on the bottom like this, egg in the middle, sugar like this, and 3 milks on the top. And yeah, that makes a cake. It took about 5 minutes to make a single cake, but we did it. Alright, let's put it with the other stuff. Now we have to look for the new spawning blocks, which means we're gonna have to travel pretty far away from this home, because I explored a lot of the chunks around here. I remember there was one way that I haven't gone yet, but the problem is I don't remember which way that was. I'm pretty sure it was this way through the ocean, which makes sense. I don't know why I would want to go through this giant ocean, so I guess we're gonna travel that way. Spiders in this version are so annoying. Alright, let's get a little bit of wood and we'll make a boat. And we're just gonna hit the water. The one good thing about being in the water at night is at least the mobs can't spawn here. But it's really annoying considering I literally can't see anything in front of me right now. It's probably a little bit better on the video because I'm gonna enhance the brightness, but I literally can't see anything. Okay, we're not going over there. We got 3 spiders on the island. I'm assuming I didn't go this way yet, but I also might have. I just don't really remember at this point. Regardless, we're gonna have to travel a pretty long distance to find these new blocks anyway. Okay, what is going on over here? Oh, there's a few too many mobs on that island. This boat is the slowest thing ever. Why is it not turning? Maybe we'll just stay in the water for now. It looks like it's beginning to turn daytime. Yeah, traveling at night in this version is kind of horrible. I'm not sure if you guys saw it on the original 100 days, but you can't see anything and there's mobs everywhere, so you basically just have to hold W and walk past all the mobs. Okay, yeah, I've definitely been here before because this terrain generation looks kinda old. Oh, there's some squids down there. I don't know if you can see them. I guess I can show you what I was gonna show you with the squids. So you see these squids here? Remember how we needed milk earlier for the cake? Okay, apparently you can't milk the squids. I was pretty sure you could milk squids. I guess you can't. Yeah, I guess I lied. I don't know. Well, basically what was supposed to happen was just like a cow, I was able to milk the squids. Apparently they added that for some reason. But it doesn't look like it works in this version. Maybe it's like one version after this or one before. I don't know. Either way, we actually need to kill some squids because we need their ink sacs for the wool. Yeah, okay, we got 8 ink sacs. That's pretty good. Okay, I see like a desert over there. I don't know if that's a new desert or an old desert. I'm probably gonna go that way though. Okay, why is the skeleton holding a bow like that? And why does the fire look like that? Yeah, I don't remember that happening before. That's looking a little weird. Oh yeah, he drops bones. We actually did need bones, so that's good. What we're looking for right now is a taiga or a birch forest. I'm actually not sure if birch forests even exist, thinking about it. We're looking for a birch tree, at least. And yeah, I guess the best way to go would be over here. I'm not really sure. We also kind of have to remember where our base is, so I can't really go that far away. I always forget you have to break the boat. You can't just like leave it. Okay, we got a cactus. It's another type of dye, but I'm pretty sure we have to smelt it. And here's another dye, yellow dye. Okay, there's some snow up there, so that's different. Yeah, pretty much all I can see right now is just oak trees though. But I'm pretty sure I haven't been here yet. I would probably see some torches or some blocks. So we're definitely going the right way. Okay, let's get this rose. And that's another dye. And then we can combine these two and make orange. But I probably shouldn't be doing that as I have like no room in my inventory. Okay, yeah, I'm not really seeing any new trees anywhere. Just a bunch of oak trees everywhere. We still need to cave for some lapis as well, so I was hoping to find these trees quickly. Because once we find these trees, we know we can find lapis in the caves because we'll know it's new terrain. But right now, I don't even know if this is new terrain. It probably is, but I don't really know. I don't really remember seeing any ice in the original video. I'm pretty sure ice was in the game by then, I just don't remember seeing any. Okay, I hear a zombie here. There could be a spawner. If you don't remember, I was looking for a golden apple, which can only be found in spawners, and I didn't end up finding it. So we are still looking for that. Okay, I don't think I'm finding this. We have to move while we still have daylight because we need to find these trees. If we don't find these trees while there's daylight, well, we're still gonna keep looking. It's gonna be dark, which isn't fun. We shouldn't have to travel that much further. Okay, there's just random sugarcane on the land. And just a bunch more oak trees, it looks like. Okay, I swear I don't remember going this way. So there's gotta be some new trees. Oh, this looks like a spawner. It doesn't look like I've been to this spawner yet. Because yeah, dirt over the chest. I don't know, that loot isn't really promising. Is that really the only chest? Okay, like, that was the only chest, and it just had, like, nothing in it. But there's dirt over top of the chest, so I'm, like, 90% sure I haven't been here yet. Also, the color of the grass and the leaves looks right, which it didn't over there. So I'm not sure if that's just this version, or if that had something to do with me being there, and now this is new. Either way, it's more than likely new if I hadn't checked that spawner. Either that, or I just missed the spawner. Okay, yeah, there's a crafting table here. So it turns out we've actually been here. And what I was just saying is there's actually coordinates in this version, so I can go wherever I want. I kind of forgot about that. I thought it was like the first versions I was playing where there was no cords. Okay, yeah, we're just gonna get rid of one of these buckets. Okay, so we're gonna go more this way, because if I put a crafting table there, I probably boated that way. So we're gonna go more this way then. That sucks that I've actually explored all these chunks. I know there was one way from my house that I hadn't gone yet, and I guess this was the wrong way. It's crazy the things that become difficult on this version. It's taken me like 15 minutes to look for birch and spruce wood. And speaking of the birch wood, I actually see some right here. I saw it before that, but I was just saying that. So yeah, it looks like we haven't been here yet. And yeah, that looks like a real desert as well, unlike the stuff we were seeing before. So now we just need spruce wood after we get this. Yeah, I see a ton of birch trees. That's really good. Okay, let's just harvest a few of these. And you can't make shears yet, which sucks because we can't get birch leaves yet. We're gonna need to get those in the future when they add shears. Okay, and it's also turning dark again. It literally took us a full day to get birch trees. That really shows just how different old Minecraft is. Because by now, in modern Minecraft, I could have technically beat the game. I mean, me personally, I probably wouldn't have, but somebody could have beat the game. I'm sure somebody could have beat the game in beta too, except you can't beat the game yet. That gets added later. But yeah, if it's gonna be dark out right now, we might as well go look for the lapis, and then we'll go back up for spruce wood after. It doesn't seem like an optimal thing to do, but if it's dark on the surface, it's also dark in the caves, so it just makes sense. Okay, but we have to find a cave first without dying. See, there's too many mobs. This is what I was talking about. Like, how is there this many mobs? It doesn't even make sense. There's like 30 skeletons, 20 spiders, just getting hit by a zombie, and there's creepers right there. I don't even remember it being this bad. Okay, we found a cave. Hey, finding lapis shouldn't be that hard. Okay, we kind of have to not die though. Yeah, we have to not. Like, I shouldn't be doing that. And this isn't really a cave, so I guess we're digging down. We have like 10 minutes to find this. Hopefully we can find it. I can actually see my Y level now, which is helpful. And yeah, we found a cave. Okay, that's good. Some gold. We don't need gold though. We just need lapis. In a version where lapis is almost completely useless, that is what we need. I don't know why I'm mining gold. It's not helpful. Well, actually it is, because we have to make torches soon. Okay, yeah, there's like literally no mobs in the cave. It seems all the mobs spawn on the surface at night, and then there's just nothing in the caves. Alright, never mind. There's one zombie, actually. Okay, I didn't know lapis was the new diamonds. Okay, come on. There's gotta be lapis somewhere. If we can't find some lapis, then we're actually in trouble. I also might just be in loaded chunks again. There's no shortage of caves, though. It just seems we're missing the dark blue diamonds, unfortunately. Which I'm actually gonna find some real diamonds before we find lapis. It also doesn't help the caves are pitch black, so it's difficult to see where I'm going. Okay, I'm just gonna stop trying to MLG. Alright, never mind. We actually just found lapis. I was about to complain again, and we found it. And you get a single lapis from mining a lapis ore. Okay, so we're gonna need a few more of those, because we need to make the block, and then we need to dye the wool, and we probably need some to mix to make other dyes. So yeah, we're gonna need like at least 15. Luckily, there's lapis right here, right? No, there's not. Okay. I'm pretty sure the lapis just spawns lower down in this version. So yeah, we just have to stay low to get more. At least we didn't find diamonds before. Caving in this is so weird. It's like, okay, there's more lapis here. I hear a lot of zombies. There's just a lot of mobs in general. I was thinking there might be a spawner there, but it's probably not. Okay, we have 6 lapis. I was saying the caves in this version are kind of weird though, because like they don't feel like they ever end, but it's really difficult to find out where they continue. Like, it's super dark everywhere, and the places the caves continue are usually like 1 block holes, so it's really weird. Okay, I gotta stop taking damage. Every time I take fall damage, it breaks my armor, which is kind of weird, because that's not how new Minecraft works at all. It should be daytime on the surface pretty soon, and that kind of sucks, because we're not even halfway through finding our lapis, so we're probably gonna miss it. I honestly didn't think finding these items would take this long. Actually, it's only been 40 minutes so far. I actually expected it to take like an hour, but I feel like it's gonna take longer. Okay, yeah, we're kind of running into like part of the cave where I just don't know where to go anymore. Oh, we found more lapis. See, this is the problem. The caves are so dark, I almost didn't see that. And it's just a 1 vein of lapis anyway. I actually wish I didn't see it. We gotta go to where the zombies were. We can find it. I can hear it, but can't really find it. Or we can go over here. This place is dark. It's just dark because I haven't put a torch. We've been here. This is where I found the first lapis. Okay, I hear like a lot of mobs. So either the caves are just really weird with spawning them, or it is daytime. Okay. I almost died to that creeper because I can't really see anything. If I didn't hit it, I would have died. There's like 400 mobs in this one spot. It's better be where the lapis is. And we're out of torches again. Oh, what are you guys doing? Okay, yeah, just fight each other. Yeah, who's gonna win? Oh, there, you fell in a hole. Okay, yeah, just stop the fight. Yeah, look at me again. Yeah, you're gone. Yeah, let's eat this. Okay, just need like 8 more lapis. Apparently that's difficult. Okay, we got more. Like, come on. Okay, yeah, there's just every mob down here. Wait. I was thinking I could have got a music disc from that. I'm actually not sure if I have any music discs. I probably do, but I don't really remember getting a music disc. I know there's a jukebox in the game because we crafted it on like day 10. There's got to be music discs, right? And if there is, I probably have one, but I actually might not. Lapis could not be harder to get, and I am serious about that. Like, it actually could not be harder to get. It's super rare right now, and you only get 1 per ore. It actually couldn't be harder to get. Okay, we found some diamonds. We found diamonds before we finished our lapis. And there's like 13 zombies protecting this. Okay. Why do zombies even drop feathers? I don't really understand why they even dropped them. I'm not sure if they still do. It's like a rare drop or something, or they just don't. I actually don't know. 3 creepers. Really just trying to find some lapis. If I had known lapis was this rare, I would have kept looking for the spruce wood. I can't lie. This is actually like not funny anymore. Like, where is the lapis? Okay, I guess we're strip mining and looking for a new cave. But yeah, at this point, I'm not sure if there's lapis in that cave at all. We're also running kind of low on coal, which means I'm gonna run out of torches soon. Hopefully we can just find this quickly. Okay, there's some kind of cave here. Okay, there's more diamonds here. Just another 1 vein. And that's it. I never thought I'd be disappointed to find diamonds, but now is the time, I guess. Okay, there's more cave here. We've just been here already. And maybe there's some lapis I missed. These creepers, man. Okay, like the creepers in this version are actually unironically scary. It's like I almost died again. Like there was no way of knowing that creeper was behind me. Oh, there's more lapis that we actually missed. Okay, this is good. Now we have 9. It's just a really disappointing number, I can't lie. I'm still not even sure what Y level it can spawn at. It should be able to spawn up here. Why is there so many mobs in the corners? Okay, like we just need 6 more lapis. I think it's just too rare. I mean, at least we can make a lapis block. But I did want to get all the wool as well. I mean, I'm not giving up though. Go back to the strip mines. We have about 5 minutes until it should be daytime. So yeah, it would perfectly work out if I found 6 lapis like right now. And we just find more diamonds. But once again, it's a 1 vein. Just not having luck on either side right now. Oh, strip mining like this reminds me of the original 100 days, but like not in a good way. Not in a good way at all. I was strip mining for like at least 20 days. And 20 days, because there was no beds, that's gotta be like almost 7 hours. I was strip mining for like 7 hours. And I remember it took till like day 15 to even find any diamonds. Oh, it looks like we have a spawner actually. That's really good. There can probably be lapis in spawner chests. Okay, yeah, that's pretty much useless. Got some bread though. But yeah, that was a pretty useless spawner chest. Just really hoping for some lapis, which is a weird thing to say. The problem with caving for this long is I can also end up back in the old chunks, because I didn't go that far. Okay, I'm hearing more stuff this way. This does look like a new cave. The guy's just going for like a water slide or something. Oh, there's another one down there. Is there any lapis even down here? I'm just not bothering with that. Somehow a zombie died here. Okay, there's more diamonds. Yeah, we've also got 2 creepers. A spider's got everything blowing up. How is it blowing up? That is enough creepers. Yeah, there's another one back there. We found 5 diamonds so far and 9 lapis. How many mobs can there be? We gotta have some lapis in here, right? Nope. More diamonds. Okay, I'm actually starting to think that I am caving in the old chunks, because there's no way I've found as many diamonds as I've found lapis. That just can't be right. Literally accidentally found more diamonds. Okay. Yeah, I've found more diamonds than lapis. At this point, I'm just gonna assume that this cave is in my old chunks, because there is no way that this is possible. So I'm going to dig up. And we're gonna go look for a new cave and look for some spruce wood, because this whole caving thing is getting very boring. Okay, it's not nighttime. We're also not in old chunks, because there's birch trees right here. So I'm not sure what is up with the lapis rates in these caves. So I guess let's just look for some spruce wood, and then I'll decide if I want to go find some more lapis or not. Okay, I've placed blocks here. Yeah, so I feel like I'm going in and out of old chunks. There's a lot of birch trees here, but I also am finding blocks, so I don't really know. Yeah, not really any birch trees over here, so we shouldn't go this way. Like, look at the view from up here. It's not very good. Got a giant cloud in the way. It also just isn't good in general. I don't know what I was cooking up there. Okay, yeah, I don't see any birch trees in this direction either, but I am going further away from my base right now. I feel like there's no way I've been out here yet. It also might be possible that there can just be a forest with no birch trees. I didn't really think about that. Like, that is a real thing. I'm not sure if this version is that advanced yet. Dude, look at those mountains over there. Like, this version has such nice terrain sometimes. Like, a lot of the terrain just looks pretty bad, but then there's just mountains like that. Like, yeah, we got mountains like this. This looks pretty bad. Then the mountains that were over there, which we can't see anymore, those are good. Alright. What just happened to my boat? It's not at all what I expected. Alright, let's just hope we can stay in the water for most of this, because I'm kind of tired of the mobs after caving. I'm thinking if I get to like X of 3,000, there's really no way I've been there yet. At this point, I don't even know the right direction back. Like, if I didn't have F3, I'd just be lost. So there's no way I traveled that far, because this was in the early days when I went this way, if I went this way. I see snow, which is really good if we're looking for spruce wood. Yeah, I think those are spruce spruce trees. You can probably see them better than I can, but we're about to find out if they're spruce trees. I'm 90% sure they're spruce trees, which is very good. That means we can just go back and look for the lapis again, and then we can hopefully be done with exploring. I really just want to go back at this point. I've seen everything. I've seen it all again. It's been a year since I played this world, and now I kind of remember why I stopped. It's looking heavily guarded. Yeah, there's a lot of guards out here. Okay, this is... Can you stop? Like, it's just a few mobs down there. We're just gonna... Okay, we only have 8 torches. I'm about a bridge. I'm bridging in beta. I don't think anyone's ever speed bridged in beta before, to be fair. Actually, beta, they definitely have. So a lot of people actually play this version. Okay, let's just get the wood from up here. Yeah, 3 logs is looking like enough. Okay, yeah, 6 logs might actually be enough. There's like a million trees over there. The problem is, we have a whole horde of mobs under us who do not want me to live. It also looks like we have some kind of spawner maybe over here. Okay, we have to kill all these mobs first. I don't know how I'm gonna do this. Okay, the creepers aren't blowing up. I was thinking one of the creepers could blow up. The spiders are the most annoying because they can actually catch you. Okay, I'm just gonna make a run for it. Let's find our way to this cave thing, and hopefully we can get a few more lapis. It's just a water cave. Okay, that is fine because I'm 100% sure we're in new terrain, so I'm digging down. Should probably mine some of this coal because I'm actually almost out of torches. Okay, so let's dig down. Hopefully we find something, at least like 2 more lapis. Just turning around to see if Herobrine's in my strip mine. Alright, I have so had enough of this caving. We're gonna go with the 9 lapis we have, and we're gonna make all the wool. And we'll try to get a lapis block in the next video, but I'm tired of caving. I've been caving for a long time, and I really don't want to start again. So we're just gonna get a bit more spruce wood on the surface, and we're gonna head back. That seems like a good idea at this point. I know that I said I was gonna do it, but like, come on. I spent like almost an hour to get 9 lapis, so let's just get a bit more spruce wood for now. I'm not really sure if I'm going to use it to build anything. I'm also pretty sure there's some type of like chunk unloaders that you can use that'll unload the chunks around my base, which might actually be useful if I'm going to keep updating like this. Because some of the terrain we were walking in at the start is literally from like the first version of alpha when like the grass is all super green and there's just like 3 blocks and that's it. God, I'm tired of making boats. I wonder when they actually make it so that you can pick them up, because I have to have made like 100 boats. And it makes no sense in this version. You can't even like leave the boat without breaking it too, and when you break it, it just turns into some sticks and some wood. It's also funny looking at F3 going back to my base. I actually get less FPS in Minecraft beta than new Minecraft. Actually, I'm not sure if that's true. It might be similar. I know on like 1.8 I get like 2 times this at least though. You'd think you would get better FPS in Minecraft beta than anything else, but I guess the game just wasn't optimized enough back when it was made. I mean, 1000 FPS still isn't anything to complain about. I'm not complaining about the FPS. Even more water ahead. Even though the water is faster to travel in, I just hate making the boats, so I'm walking in the land at this point. Oh, we get to go to the real desert. I'm not sure if deserts were actually around in like the first versions that I played. I think they were added pretty soon, but yeah, it's nice to see a different biome than just forest. And there's where I made a boat before. Time to make another boat. Yeah, we still have a way to go. Okay. Chicken just randomly spawned out of thin air. I don't know if anyone saw that. And now there's like 5 chickens here. Mob spawning in this version is also so weird. Yeah, this isn't that good beta terrain though. I remember one way I went in the first 100 days, a bunch of like giant mountains, and it actually looked really cool. Okay, it's just a giant hole in the world. Wait, maybe we can find some lapis with this. Hold on. Do you guys see any lapis? I honestly don't really see any lapis. Yeah, I'm not really gonna walk on this because I don't know how like chunk errors work in this version. Well, that's not really a chunk error. I still am not gonna walk on it though. At this point, if I had to reset my world, I lost all my 9 lapis, I'm gonna be mad. That 9 lapis took forever. I had to work for that 9 lapis. I can't reset this world, so we're not walking on there. Okay, why does the boat do a 180 every time I get in it too? There's so many things wrong with the boats. Still remember when there was no sounds in this version, or when there was no sounds in the alpha video? That was really interesting. Like the creepers were like 10 times worse. Hold up, we got a 1 block gap we gotta walk in. Okay, the boat can't go through. I thought that I could get the boat through, but I guess not. I've used so much wood on boats. But I remember when there was no sound in alpha, creepers I was finding in the caves now already sneak up on you. You actually couldn't do anything about the creepers back then. Dangerous area up ahead for the boat. We're gonna have to go around. Gotta watch out. Can't drive my boat into any blocks. Oh, there's another boat crafting table over there. That's how you can tell where you've been. You see the crafting tables, you know you made a boat. I'm sure there's like diamonds under this. It just looks like there'd be diamonds under there, does it not? I'm not checking. Okay, we got a gray chicken. We should be pretty close. We are pretty close, I can tell by the cords. But like, yeah, I was just saying stuff. Okay, now it's turning nighttime because I'm being stupid. And here we have some interesting terrain. We got these random chunk errors from new generation. Got a little bit bit of sand here. Sand with no sandstone. You never see this. Yeah, we got these. Don't really know what you call them. Coming out of the ground here. And that's how you know we're almost home. Hopefully you can get around this though. Okay, looks like we're building up. Turns out even with F3, I'm actually about to get lost. Please, not the spiders, man. Come on. And the skeletons and the creepers. Just everything. It's like we're going swimming. It's only a few creepers. I'm going for a nice little swim here. Give up. I swim faster. I see a house over there, so that means we're almost home. Unless somebody else built that house. Could be Herobrine's mansion. Now, that's definitely the house that I built. Even though it's dark, I can tell. We got the whole, like, Coast Guard army here. I'm just not allowed to go back home. I'm gonna make, like, one of those railroad tracks. I'm pretty sure that was a really common thing in this version, is, like, people made, like, giant railroads. I'm about to make one of those so that I don't have to swim across the water. Or boat. Honestly, boat is just as bad. That's why I just haven't made a boat. Like, just let me get home. You don't have to guard me from getting in the water. Like, this guy's been chasing me the whole time, too. This spider's been chasing me the entire time through the water. What if we just went through one of the 20 nether portals right now? Does this not look so sick in the dark? I won't lie, this build is pretty terrible compared to, like, modern builds. It still looks really cool. Also, for anyone who didn't watch the video, I built the entire mountain that it's on, basically, which took forever. And that pillar's not getting removed. I'm not removing the pillar. I don't remember why, but I'm not removing the pillar. Oh, that's where the mobs are. I keep hearing mobs, and I don't know where they are. We're back at the base, and we have almost everything we needed. Let's make some things. We're making bone meal. Making a few furnaces, because apparently there's no furnaces in this room. I think you smelled this into dye. Literally, I don't think I've ever made green dye before. This is black dye, and then we make gray dye. You can also make light gray dye. Okay, we already have the red. We should have got more flowers. I didn't realize that. We can go get more flowers, though. I probably have flowers, actually. Okay, we got our green. You can put green with this. You get lime, and then you put lapis with this. You get light blue. You merge these two. Okay, it's cyan. Now, I think what we're just missing purple, I think. I'm not really sure. We could be missing something else, and I just don't know. We gotta have a couple red flowers, right? Okay, I don't think we do. Okay, we have our logs. We can't make anything. Okay, we only have logs. That's good to know. Those are complete. Apparently, oak planks are still the only planks in the game. We need charcoal. That's random, but apparently charcoal was added in beta. I don't even know if that's true. That doesn't feel like it's true. Yeah, apparently it is. And yeah, these are different. We have charcoal now. Okay, so we need to get some red flowers, and we needed a lapis block. We're not getting a lapis block this video, though, because that is apparently too difficult. Okay, let's find some red flowers that aren't part of the castle. Okay, we got red flowers down there. I don't think we need that many. I only think there's, like, pink. Is there even another purple? I don't know. However, this will definitely be enough. Yeah, enjoy burning, buddy. This will definitely be enough to make every wool, and then we can maybe try to find a place to put all these blocks in the museum, although I'm not sure if that's possible. I think I built just enough spots for, like, everything. You can actually check. I mean, we could put some stuff here. There's gonna be a spider on the top floor again, probably. Oh yeah, we can definitely put some stuff in the top floor, too. Like, I reserved it for some of, like, the best blocks. We can definitely, like, put, like, all the wool here. Yeah, we can definitely put some stuff up there and some stuff back on the bottom. We're gonna have to build more of this when more blocks are added, but right now we're fine. So let's make a bit more of this. We do this and this. We get this. We do this and this. We get nothing. That is really weird. That makes sense. That is not what I expected, but that makes sense. Okay, so we have our wool. We obviously have white already. Okay, one of this, one of this, orange, yellow, purple, pink, lime, green. I threw that's not what I meant to do. Light blue, blue, and cyan. Okay, that's all the wool. Now let's grab all the different blocks. We got a cake, note block, dispenser, sandstone, this wood, and we'll just grab some of this. And let's put these in the museum. Oh, we put them on top of stone. Hopefully we have stone. Don't have stone. Okay, well, we'll smelt some stone. And right now, we'll go put the blocks up. And then we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's probably fine. Put this here, this here, this here. Note block, dispenser, and cake. Okay, so we got some random blocks in this hallway now. That's pretty good. And now we'll go up to the top floor and we'll put down our wool. I really gotta find this spider. Okay, we've got a cloud right here. So we need 13 blocks. Okay, that works. We can kind of put them, I guess, in a rainbow. Torches here for now, so nothing spawns. Yeah, that looks fine. And let's just go get our stone. Our stone should be done. We'll replace all the wood with stone. Yeah, our stone is definitely done. That actually was pretty fast. Or I was slow. I don't know which one. Hopefully the cake. Yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. I'll go get another cake after this. Knew that was gonna happen. I still did it, just on the chance that it wouldn't. Yeah, let's just break all of these, and then we'll just put stone under it. And now we have to go get a different cake. What do we need for a cake again? again? We need an egg. That is actually a problem. Oh no, we have another egg. That is not an issue. Apparently I have 2 eggs. We do have to go get that milk again, and I threw those buckets out. No, I have enough buckets. Okay, I don't even feel like leaving my house. I see a cow here. I'm coming back for this guy. I keep hearing this guy over and over again. Now, you know what? Let's just put our house back. We made it like this. Yeah, okay. And now we can just throw down our cake. Okay, now we are done. Well, except for the lapis. But we will get the lapis block another time. But yeah, I guess that concludes episode 1 of Minecraft Beta. This is a completely different format of video than I'm used to making. So let me know what can be improved. Or if you just hate the video. Or if you like it. This is a giant slime statue, and inside of it is one of the hardest prisons which I am going to be attempting to escape. I spawned inside of a bedrock room with a sign that said the rules. No breaking signs. I walked out into another room and I saw a crafting table and a hopper. I opened the hopper and there was 8 iron inside. I looked up and there was a button on the roof as well as a 1-block gap which I assumed was the exit to this room. The problem was I didn't know how to fit through the 1-block gap with only 8 iron ingots. I grabbed the crafting table and placed it so that I could look through the gap, but I found nothing. It wasn't until I checked my crafts that I realized what I needed to do. I needed to make 2 iron trapdoors, one to build up and the other to push me through the gap. So I placed the trapdoors, and after a few tries I made it to the other side. In the next room there's a 5-block gap with a pit of lava under it, and there were ice blocks below my feet. These ice blocks were packed ice though, so I could not break them for water. Normally this would be a problem because you can't make a 5-block jump in Minecraft. But if I get a running start and spam my spacebar, I am actually able to make the jump because there is ice. I made it into the next room and there's a crafting table on the floor and an item frame with a slime block on the wall. There was another room that I was safe to drop into which had more slime balls on the wall. So I collected all the slime balls and now I had 8 slime balls and 8 item frames. There was a bedrock block in the middle of the floor and I was pretty sure I needed to place a slime block on it to bounce to the next room. But I still needed 1 more slime ball to make a slime block. I looked around the room and found nothing, but then I decided to break the crafting table and the last slime ball was under it. So I put the crafting table back and I crafted the slime block. Now I could place the slime block on top of the bedrock block and jump to the next room. In the next room I found 2 item frames with a red and brown mushroom in them. There was also a slab and a deep slate block that was probably meant to blend in with the bedrock. So I broke the deep slate block and underneath it was a hopper that contained a bowl. I also tried breaking the slab but there was nothing under it so I put it back. I needed to make a 1.5 block jump but the only thing I could craft was mushroom soup, so I had to be missing something. I looked around and eventually I found another deep slate block hiding in the bedrock. So I broke the deep slate and above it was a cornflower. I now knew exactly what to craft. I crafted a suspicious stew, and because I used a cornflower, the stew would give me jump boost. This jump boost would allow me to make a 1.5 block jump into the next room. Inside of the next room, there was a long hole in the ground as well as a stone block in an item frame with a sign pointing towards it. There was another stone above me as well, so I grabbed the stone and dropped into the room. I collected the other stone and then checked the hole for anything else. Inside of the hole there was a crafting table and another stone, so I collected that too. I needed to make it up this wall, but 3 stone blocks definitely wouldn't be enough. So I checked the crafting table and saw that I could make 6 stone slabs, which would be better. After I made the slabs, I went to the sign that I saw earlier, assuming that was where I needed to build up. I built up and I was still short a few blocks, but I looked in F5 and saw a wooden pressure plate at the top. I realized that from where I was standing, I could throw one of the item frames on the pressure plate to activate it. So I activated the pressure plate, and water came out, allowing me to swim out. In this part of the room, there was nothing except for a hole in the roof, which was the exit. I was confused until I realized I could swim through the water to break the piston. Behind the piston, there was a barrel that contained a slime block, and that was it. So I went back into the room, and now I had a piston and a slime block. If I placed the slime block on top of the piston and stood on it, I could boost myself up to the room, but the problem was I still needed to activate the piston. Luckily, I could break the pressure plate from before, and I could throw an item frame on it to activate the piston and boost me to the next room. Inside of this room, there was a furnace in the corner, a hole with 3 beehives in it, a hopper on the roof, and a massive bowl covered in signs. I opened the hopper first, and inside of it was 6 blocks of sand. Unfortunately, these would be of no use to get down the hole, so I had to keep looking. There was nothing else in this room though, so I decided to break the hopper. Behind the hopper, there was an item frame with coal in it, so I was pretty sure I had to smelt the sand. So I used the furnace to smelt the sand, and I was left with 6 glass. This still didn't give me a way to get down the hole though, so I decided to break the furnace because I didn't need it anymore. Behind the furnace there was a crafting table and I could only make 2 things. I remembered there were still beehives in the hole, so I made bottles to collect the honey. If I collected the honey, I can make a honey block, which would allow me to take less fall damage dropping down. So I collected the honey, but I only had 3 bottles and I needed 4 to make a block of honey. Luckily there was another beehive hidden underneath and I was able to make the honey block. So I dropped down and landed the clutch, making it to the next room. There was a 2-block jump to get to the next part of the room, so I had to use my honey block to get up. I thought I was stuck, but I remembered that I needed to crouch to the very edge of the block to be able to jump. Inside of the next room there was lava flowing from the roof as well as a second area with bamboo in it. I looked up and also ended up finding a fire resistance arrow, so I grabbed that. Before I dropped into the next part of the room, I clicked the lava to see if anything was behind it and I found a hopper with a crafting table. Now I was sure there was nothing left at the top, so I dropped down into another part of the room. I broke the dirt holding up the bamboo and I found a hopper underneath it with 3 string inside of it. Now I was able to craft a bow which would allow me to use the fire resistance arrow to go inside the lava. I tried to get back up, but I didn't have enough blocks. That was when I realized there was another deep slate block, so I broke it and there was another piece of dirt behind it. Now I was able to get back to the top part and I shot myself with the fire resistance arrow. I swam down the lava first and there was a room with a hopper that contained 12 string. I swam up to the top of the lava and there was a room, but I was trapped in the lava by a bedrock block above me. There was a chest I could reach though, so I opened it and found 3 wood planks. There was also a crafting table and I knew exactly what to do. Just like in my last video, I needed to make a bed and sleep in it to get through the hole. So I made the bed and placed it in the room, but it was still daytime, so I was unable to sleep. I realized it didn't matter though because the bed set my spawn point, so I just had to wait for the fire resistance to run out and swim in the lava until I died. I threw my items into the room so I didn't lose them, and I let myself die in the lava and respawned in the next room. I collected the chest and the crafting table, and I used them to build up to the next part of this room. I walked down this hallway, and I saw a sign that said over 98% of you are not subscribed, which is better than last time, but it still isn't 0%, so please subscribe. At the end of the hallway, there was a giant drop down into another room that I would definitely die from. It was fine though, because I still had my bed, which I could use to negate some of the fall damage. The only thing in the next room was a rabbit's foot in an item frame and a 2-block jump to another room. I could see targets in the other room, but I didn't have any arrows to shoot them. I looked around the room and I ended up finding a secret hopper with a blaze powder and a nether wart inside. Now I was pretty sure I needed to make a potion, but I was missing a brewing stand. I thought I had looked everywhere, but then I placed the bed under my feet to get a better look into the next room and saw a brewing stand hiding in the corner. So I used the brewing stand to make a potion of leaping, and because I was standing on the bed, I was able to jump into the next room because it was only a 1.5 block jump. In this room, I found a slime block in the corner, and in front of me there was a big lava pit that I couldn't get across. There were a couple of targets on the roof, but I didn't have any projectiles to hit them with. I saw a hidden hopper across from me, so I checked if there was one on my side, and sure enough there was. The hopper contained 2 arrows, and now I could use them to shoot the targets. The targets dropped 2 sand blocks into the lava, and I could use them to parkour across the lava. I made it to the other side and opened the hopper, finding an ender pearl. I went to the end of the hallway and there was 2 ladders and that was it. The only thing I could do here was pearl glitch, so I threw my pearl and I was teleported to another room. There was another slime ball in an item frame, so I took that, and in front of me there was an elevator to the next room. This room had lava falling from the roof, a single block of ice in the floor, 4 beehives with honey forming a staircase, and another part of the room higher up. I checked inside of the lava, and like usual there was a hopper hidden underneath with 4 string and 2 iron ingots. With 4 string and 4 beehives, I realized I could make candles to melt the ice. But I still needed honeycombs to craft candles, and all I had were beehives. But then I remembered I had 2 iron and I could make shears. Shears would allow me to collect the honeycombs from the beehives. So I made shears and collected the honeycombs. After that I crafted 4 candles and placed them on top of the ice block. I waited for the ice to melt, but then I realized I still had to light the candles for that to happen. I had nothing in my inventory to light the candles, but there was still one part of the room I hadn't checked. I used F5 and I could see there was a hopper in this part of the room, but it was still too high up for me to reach. Luckily, I still had honeycombs left over, and I could make 2 honeycomb blocks to complete the staircase. When I got up, I found another slime ball in an item frame, and I checked the hopper and I found an arrow. This might seem useless, but I can actually shoot the arrow through the lava to set it on fire and light the candles, so I lit the candles and waited, and eventually the ice melted. I swam down the water and I made it into a small cave-like room. I was trapped by a bedrock block above my head, and I could see nothing except for a piston with a slime block on top and an observer beside it. This was until I noticed water particles coming from the ceiling. I crouched forward and ended up finding a deep slate block, so I broke it. Behind the block there was water, and I could now swim out of the hole. There was a hole above the slime block, but it was too high up to reach. I went back to check the water, and I found another slime ball in an item frame on the way. I swam up the water, and there was a small hole with a hopper inside that had 2 nether wart and 2 nether bricks. I went back to the slime block and thought I was missing something, but I checked my inventory and saw that I could craft red nether bricks. I placed the red nether bricks in front of the observer, and I was launched into the next room. I immediately saw a hopper in the floor, and I checked it and found 2 moss blocks. In front of me there was a 4-block high wall with a fence at the bottom. 2 moss blocks was not enough to climb up the 4 blocks, and I couldn't jump on top of the fence because it's too high. So I turned the moss blocks into moss carpets, and now I was able to climb up. The next part of the room had a taller wall I had to climb and a crafting table in the corner. I was also able to see a few pistons holding up water in the roof. I checked behind the crafting table, but there was nothing, so I placed it back down. I found a hole in the corner with water at the bottom, so I dropped down. Inside of the hole there was another room, and I found a bunch of dead bushes and blocks of sand. So I broke it all, and I was left with 8 sticks and 15 sand. I was about to build back up, but I noticed there was another part of this room that I could build up to. So I built up to the next part of the room, and there was another item frame with a slime ball as well as a hopper that contained 2 steak and a stone block. There was nothing else up there though, so I went back to the bottom and built up to the main room. Luckily 15 sand was exactly enough to make it back up, and I went back to the crafting table and used the 8 sticks I got to make ladders. I used the ladders to make it up the wall to the top of the room. There was a hopper with a sign pointing at it, so I checked the hopper and it had an iron pickaxe in it. I took the pickaxe and broke the hopper to see if there was anything underneath. Underneath the hopper there was nothing, so now I was kind of confused until I remembered the pistons I saw earlier. The reason this was important was because I could make a lever to activate the pistons. But the problem was I didn't know where to place it, so I tried the obvious, which was under the sign with an arrow pointing down. To my surprise, it worked and water dropped down from the roof, so I climbed up the water and made it to another room. In the next room, there were some walls that I couldn't climb up and another piston with a slime block on top. I found another slime ball in the corner, and that was it. I looked around and ended up finding a couple of wood buttons near the roof. I still had 1 arrow, so I decided to shoot the buttons to see what happened. It ended up activating the piston underneath me, and I was boosted to the next part of the room. In this part of the room, there was only a block of dirt, and I needed to make it up 4 blocks. I tried building up with the items I had, but it was impossible. That was until I remembered I can break the block underneath candles and they stay floating. So I made a staircase out of the candles and I climbed up the wall to another part of the room. In this part of the room there were some leaves in the corner, and I had to cross a 2-block high gap to get to the next room. I could use the hopper I had from earlier, but I still had shears, so I decided to shear the leaves to build up instead. In the last part of the room there was a sign with arrows and a pit of snow. There was a 5-block jump to the exit, and I was able to cross this with the hopper in my inventory. But I saw a block of powdered snow in the middle of the hole, so I decided to drop down in case there was something important. I broke the powdered snow and there was a hopper underneath it. The hopper had a diamond shovel inside of it, and that was it. So I collected the snow and built back up and just built to the last part of the room. I found another slime ball in the corner, and there was a hopper that I couldn't reach, but I was able to reach it when I crouched, and there was a levitation arrow in the hopper. I looked up and I saw a hole in the roof, so I shot myself with the levitation arrow and floated up to another room. In this room there was a hopper on the roof. I opened it and it had 12 sand in it. There was another slime ball in an item frame and a furnace and a crafting table at the end. I looked up and there was a big hole, but I only had 12 sand, so I wouldn't be able to get to the top. I knew I was missing something, so I tried breaking the hopper, but I found nothing. I broke the crafting table as well, and behind it there was a dried kelp block. This might seem useless, but a dried kelp block can actually be used to smelt all 12 of the sand blocks. So I turned all of the sand into glass, and now I was left with 12 glass blocks, which still isn't enough to get to the top, but I can actually turn those blocks into 32 glass panes. 32 glass panes looks like it is enough to get up the hole, so I tried building up and it was just enough to make it to the ladders. I was in a room full of lime wool and I tried to break out of it, but everything was covered in barriers. I looked down and there were 2 bedrock blocks that were positioned kind of like the ones from the room I did earlier. There was a sign that said, "I hope you have them all," and another slime ball in an item frame. I picked up the slime ball and now I had 9 slime balls and I knew what to do. I crafted a slime block, lined myself up, and jumped, placing the slime block underneath my feet. I made it to the exit and there was a big drop that I wouldn't survive. Luckily there was an elytra and a firework rocket on the walls, so I took those and I escaped the prison. This is a giant dragon egg, and inside of it is one of the hardest prisons, which I am going to be attempting to escape. I spawned inside of a small bedrock box, so like usual, I looked in F5. I saw a popped chorus fruit in an item frame that was out of my reach, and eventually I found a hopper on the floor. I jumped and I could barely see the hopper, so I opened it and there was an ender pearl inside. I used the ender pearl to escape the box and collected the popped chorus fruit from the item frame. I was in another bigger room with an entrance to another room that I needed at least 4 blocks to get up to. There was another hopper on the ground and I opened it and I got a water bottle and that was it. There was nothing else in this room, so I started breaking the hoppers to see if there was anything behind them. There was nothing beyond the first one, but beyond the second one there's a hole, and inside of that hole there was another hopper. I opened the hopper and there were 2 blaze rods, and now I knew how to make it up to the next room. I crafted 4 end rods using the popped chorus fruit and a blaze rod, and that was just enough blocks to make it up. In the next room, there's a bunch of quartz ore in the corner and a hole in the top corner leading to another room. There was also a hopper in the corner that had 1 coal and 1 gunpowder inside of it. I looked around and ended up finding a block of TNT hidden in the roof, but that was all I could find. I needed 3 blocks to get up to the room, but I only had 1, which was the TNT. I knew that I needed to do something with the quartz, but if I broke them with my fist, they wouldn't drop anything. That was when I realized I could use the TNT to blow them up, and I would have them drop the quartz. But the problem was I still needed something to light the TNT, and none of the items I have would do that. That was until I noticed I actually have enough materials to craft a fire charge. I just needed to turn the blaze rods into blaze powder, and then I was able to make 3 fire charges using the gunpowder and coal. So I lit the TNT and went behind the wall to make sure I didn't take any damage. Then I went back into the room and picked up 14 quartz, and now with these quartz I could make 3 quartz blocks, allowing me to build up to the next room. In the next room, I collected an item frame with a phantom membrane, and there was also a hopper with 5 nether wart. I saw there was a huge drop down to another room, but it was way too far to survive. I needed a way to get down, and I assumed I needed to make a slow falling potion with the items I had, but I was missing a brewing stand. So I went back and checked beyond the hoppers in case I missed something, but there was nothing behind them. Now I was confused, so I took another look down the hole, and that was when I found a brewing stand hiding on the side. So I made an awkward potion and then added the phantom membrane to make a slow falling potion. Then I drank the potion and I glided down to the next room. In the next room, I walked over 2 pressure plates that actually took my potion effect away, and there was nothing in this room except for an oak log. But the oak log was all I needed to get to the next part though, so I made 4 oak planks and used them to build up. In the next part of this room, there's a huge pool of lava leading to an opening on the other side. There was also 2 dispensers really high up in the roof, and a hole with a crafting table and a pressure plate that I assumed I needed to activate. The problem was I had nothing to activate the pressure plate, so I checked in the crafting table for any crafts, but there was nothing of any use. There was nothing else in this room though, so I had to check other places. First I checked beyond the lava to see if anything was there, and I actually found a hopper with a warped fungus inside of it. This still wouldn't let me activate the pressure plate though, so I still had to be missing something. So I decided to check the previous part of the room because it was oddly empty. And when I did that, I ran into a floating piece of string, so I checked around and ended up finding 1 more, and now I knew what to do. I went back to the crafting table and I made a fishing rod. Now that I had a fishing rod, I could use it to activate the pressure plate, and when I activated the pressure plate, a strider came down from the roof as well as a saddle. So I placed the saddle on the strider and crafted a warped fungus on a stick to guide the strider to the other side of the lava. This next part was incredibly difficult and I probably needed jump boost to complete it. In the next room, there's a 1 block gap at the bottom of a wall that was blocking off another room. I also found a crafting table in one corner and a chest in the other. I went to open the chest, but I found that I couldn't open it because there was bedrock on top of it, so I broke it instead. The chest dropped 35 iron nuggets and that was it. So I went to the crafting table and checked what I could make, but none of the items would help me go under the wall. I needed 1 more iron nugget to make an iron trapdoor, but I didn't know where to get the last nugget. But that was when I realized there was actually another chest that I could open, and that chest had a piece of steak, an iron helmet, and a stone button in it. But none of these items would help me get under the wall, so I was still missing something. I looked around the room one more time, and I realized I could break the crafting table to see if anything was behind it. There was actually a furnace behind the crafting table, and now I knew what to do. I could smelt the iron helmet and get one more iron nugget. But now I needed something to smelt the helmet, and my only options were the chest and the crafting table since the steak would not be enough fuel. So I decided to use the chest because I would need the crafting table to make the iron ingot anyway. After it was done smelting, I grabbed the iron nugget and made the last iron ingot, and now I was able to craft an iron trapdoor. I placed the iron trapdoor with the button beside it, grabbed my crafting table, and crawled underneath to the next room. In the next room, there was an entrance to another room that was 3 blocks up, and it looked like it could be the exit because I could see the sky. So I looked around and found a chest with 5 nether wart in it, and that was it. So I picked up the 2 chests in this room, and I actually noticed that one of them was a trap chest. Now I had enough blocks to make it to the next room, but I decided to make a nether wart block with the 9 nether wart, and I used that instead of the trap chest because it will most likely be used in another room. Now I was in another room, and I thought I had escaped, but it turns out there was barrier blocks in the way, and I could not escape. There was a block of ice on the floor, and that was it, and it looked like there was a massive fall underneath, and I had to find a way to melt it. At first I thought this would be easy, and I used a fire charge to set the ice on fire, and waited, but that actually didn't work. So I needed another way to create a light source, and I was confused until I found the secret opening in the barrier blocks. In the secret opening, there was a chest, and inside of it there was 4 candles, so I placed the candles on top of the ice and lit them using my last fire charge. Eventually, the ice melted, and I made it down to a weird room where there was a crafting table in the middle with a sign above it that said "Third Sign." There was also a platform in the corner with a hole in the roof above it, and that was way out of my reach. Finally, there was a wall with paintings back where I entered from, so I first decided to check beyond the paintings, and I ended up finding a secret room. Inside of the secret room, there was a furnace, and it contained 3 raw copper, and I decided to use the 2 signs on the wall to smelt the copper. I went back and broke the sign that said "Third Sign," and I used that to cook the final piece of copper. Now that I had 3 raw copper, I was able to craft a lightning rod, and I used it to climb up to the platform. When I made it to the top of the platform, I checked the hole, and there was a hopper that contained a totem of undying. That was all that was left in the room though, so I decided to start checking behind things. I checked behind the paintings and I found nothing else, but when I broke the crafting table, there was a trail of redstone with a sign above it that said "Activate here." So I broke the trap chest and placed the chest under the sign, and then opened the chest to activate the redstone. The redstone ended up removing 2 of the bedrock blocks on the right wall, and there was another room with a massive drop to an end portal. The end portal was not finished though, so I still needed an Eye of the Ender to go to the end. So I looked around the room and I found a hopper right above me that contained the eye. Now I was able to drop all the way down because of my totem, and I activated the portal to go to the end. When I made it to the end, I spawned on a platform with a huge structure above it, and I walked forward and had all my items removed by a command block. So I broke the pressure plate so that didn't happen again, and I walked to the end of the platform. There was flowing lava which probably led to the structure above, and I clicked behind it and found a glass bottle and a blaze rod. I also found a slime ball hidden at the end of the platform, and that gave me half the items to make a fire resistance potion. So I looked around some more, and eventually I found a hidden brewing stand and a sign that said subscribe, which reminds me that over 96% of you are still not subscribed, so if you are in that group, please subscribe. I opened the brewing stand and there was nether wart in it, so now I was just missing water to make a potion. I looked everywhere for water, and I thought I was missing something, but then I found the water source hidden off the edge of the platform. So I made a really risky jump and filled my water bottle and then went back to the brewing stand. I made a magma cream with the slime ball, and I made 1 fire resistance potion, and now I would be able to climb up the lava. So I drank the fire resistance and swam up the lava, and when I made it to the top, I was in another room which had 4 popped chorus fruits hidden in different areas. I used the chorus fruits to make 4 purple blocks, and I used those to climb up to the other part of the room. This room was a giant platform, and there were 2 observers in it, as well as 2 rooms on the side that I didn't have enough blocks to climb up to. So I decided to look around the edge, and I found a dropper which contained 1 piece of bedrock and an end crystal in it. I used the bedrock to finish a staircase to one of the rooms, and inside of this room there's a hopper with 2 different types of logs and an oak plank in it. There was also a space I had to crawl under, so I made a crafting table and crafted a boat and then used it to go under the wall. On the other side of the wall there was another hopper with a piston, a slime ball, and 4 honey blocks, and now I knew where this was going. Now that I had a few blocks, I used them to build up to the other side of the room, and inside of it there was a bunch of iron ore. I knew this iron ore was put there for a reason though, so instead of breaking it, I used the end crystal to break it so that raw iron would drop. The explosion revealed another room behind the iron, and this room had a furnace inside of it that contained 8 sticks, so I decided to smelt the 3 iron. 3 iron would be the perfect amount because it would leave me with enough sticks to make a pickaxe, and I could use the pickaxe to break the observers in the main room. The reason I would want to break the observers is because I have almost everything to make a flying machine, but the observers are one of the things I'm missing. So I smelted the iron, and while doing that, I noticed something weird. The iron was immediately disappearing after it smelted, so that meant there was a hopper behind it. So once I was done smelting, I broke the furnace, and sure enough there was a hopper which contained the last items I needed to make a flying machine. So I crafted my pistons into sticky pistons, made a pickaxe and broke the observers, and then I made a flying machine. After that, I activated the flying machine and flew to the end island. And on the end island there was a giant dragon egg, and inside of it was the exit to the overworld. So I went through the portal, and that was it. I had escaped the end prison in Minecraft. This is a giant furnace, and inside of it is a bedrock prison which I am going to try to escape. I spawned in a small room with a hopper and a furnace covered in amethyst buds. I broke the amethyst buds and I got 4 amethyst shards. There was an entrance to a room in the roof and another room beside me through a window. I used the ice to swim through the window into the other room, and I picked up 2 string and 2 tripwire hooks. I looked around and found a dropper with oak stairs and 2 honeycombs inside of it. I also noticed a hopper at the top of the room, so I built up, and inside of it was glowstone dust. I could see sand on top of the hopper, so I mined it and the sand fell down. I collected all the blocks in the room and went back to the main room. I was now able to climb through the hole in the roof, and through the hole I found a chest with a netherite axe and a blaze rod. I mined the chest and built up to this area with an iron door. There was another room above this, and I was able to jump and get a gold ingot from the furnace. There was also a brewing stand in this room, and I jumped and grabbed nether wart from it as well. At this point I didn't know how to get into that room, so I went back to the other room. I saw 2 different holes in the roof, so I decided to try to build into those. I crafted candles and an amethyst block, which just barely gives me enough blocks to make it to the first room. In this room there's a dispenser with jump boost pots, gunpowder, and a fermented spider eye inside it. I also could see another hole in the roof and a hole in the floor with a villager standing on a pressure plate. I used my blocks to build up to the other room, and I found a shulker box with 3 glass bottles in it. So I collected the shulker box and all my other blocks, and I headed back to the room with the iron door. I was considering breaking the iron door, but then I realized the chest I had was actually a trap chest, so I could use it to power the door. In this room there was a furnace, a melon, and a brewing stand, so I broke the melon and realized I probably had to make a harming potion to throw at the villager. I had no idea how to make a harming potion, but I guessed and I managed to get it. I ended up using the harming potion on the villager, and it didn't die, which I thought was a problem. I decided to restart the run because I thought I messed it up by only using 1 harming potion, but it turns out I only needed 1 anyway. Hitting the villager with the potion gave me a shulker box, and I used that shulker box plus the jump boost to climb up to the next room. In this room, I found a chest with 2 cobwebs, 4 sticks, and 1 iron ingot. There was a target on the wall and a piece of redstone beside it. There was also another room on my right with water across from it and a hole that went pretty far down below me. I decided to just drop down, and I saw a little hole in the left as well as another drop even further down. I tried to jump into the hole, but I messed up and fell all the way down. I found a few note blocks in the wall, and when I clicked them a secret door opened. I found a feather on the wall, an empty dispenser, and a pumpkin on the roof. I broke the pumpkin and found there was another room above this one. I mined the note blocks and I found a few pistons behind them, so I mined those and also mined a piston and a pressure plate in the hole I missed the jump to. I used these blocks to build up through the hole in the pumpkin room and found 2 raw iron blocks leading to an entrance. I had no way to climb up these blocks, so I decided to head back to the main room. I climbed up to where the water was and realized I could place my cobwebs in it to make string. So I went back to where the target was and had a choice of crafting a fishing rod or a crossbow. Since I had no arrows, I chose the fishing rod, which ended up being a mistake. It turns out there's supposed to be flint in the chest in this part of the map, but it wasn't there. So I had to restart again and made my way back to the room. This time I had a slightly different strategy. I had used a few less blocks in the room before, giving me more blocks to work with. I also used the blocks to make the water flow all the way down so I didn't have to build back up to the main room. Once I was done that, I continued like before, but this time I made a crossbow instead. I shot the target and heard a dispenser in the other room, so I collected my stuff and went to find the dispenser. I found the dispenser in the pumpkin room and it contained shears. Next I built up through the hole in the roof back to the room with the raw iron blocks. I was able to build up to the entrance using the 3 blocks in my inventory and found 4 blocks of iron and a door. There was also a hole in the roof which went to another room. So I broke the door and went back out the room. I collected my blocks and used the door to build back up to the room so I could grab a sticky piston. I brought the sticky piston because I had a wooden pressure plate and I could use the piston to rearrange the iron blocks. So I rearranged the blocks into the shape of an iron golem, and then I left the room and grabbed my pumpkin and placed it on the head to spawn the iron golem. I killed the iron golem and it dropped 3 iron ingots, which I was now able to use to craft a bucket. So I crafted a bucket and then I ran back to the main room with the water and filled my bucket with water. I was now able to climb back into the golem room with the bucket, and then I climbed through the hole in the roof where there was a button which teleported me to a new room. I lost all of my items and I was in a room with a door and a dispenser. I broke the door and found an egg and a piece of string in the dispenser. I then used the door to climb up the wall to another room. This room had a piece of sand with a sea pickle on top of it and a floating fence gate. I rearranged these blocks so I could climb the next wall to another room. This time there was 2 dispensers, a hopper, a redstone comparator, and an iron trapdoor. The dispensers had a health pot and a stick in them, and I activated the comparator with the hopper, which activated the iron trapdoor so I could climb the next wall. In the next room there was a composter, a beehive, and a pumpkin. I noticed the beehive had honey in it, so I drank the health pot so I could collect the honey. I then broke the pumpkin and made pumpkin pie, which I used to make bone meal in the composter. The reason I made the bone meal was because there was a moss block over the next wall which could be used to make more moss blocks with the bone meal. I used 3 moss blocks to climb in a new room with a ton of stuff in it. There was a piston, a slime block, a hay bale, a comparator, and an observer. The next room was too high for me to reach, so I used the piston and slime block to make a launch pad powered by the observer. When I got up, I found a dispenser with 6 blaze rods and a slime block which I broke. There was also a target in the wall with an unlit redstone lamp above it. There was another room on the left, so I used my blocks to climb up. There was an iron door maze on the other side, and when I crossed it I found a hopper with a crafting table, a stick, and a piece of string. There was another room on the right, so I climbed up there and found another room with lava and a cobblestone wall. I checked the lava and there was nothing under it, so I went back to the main room and figured out how to craft more blocks. It turns out I didn't need the blocks though, and I was able to get over the wall by setting myself on fire and jumping. I made it over the wall and found a furnace with a popped chorus fruit inside of it, and I made end rods so I could climb another wall. Over the wall there was a big room with a brewing stand, a hopper, and a donkey behind some fences. I could also see a half full cauldron, and when I dropped down I found 3 furnaces containing 4 popped chorus fruit, 9 kelp, and 2 raw iron. The donkey had a backpack with 1 stick and 1 string inside of it, and the hopper contained 1 nether wart. I saw a dispenser on the roof and I was unable to reach it, so I killed the donkey for its chest, but the dispenser was still out of my reach. I then used some weird recipes to craft 8 purple slabs, and I went back to the other room with the target. I crafted a fishing rod which I was able to use to hit the target, and when I hit it nothing happened in this room. So I went back to the other room and now there was lava falling from the roof. I had everything to make a fire resistance potion, so I used a few blocks to parkour to the brewing stand and made the potion. I drank it and I climbed the lava where I took the bucket and filled it with the lava from the dispenser. I then broke my blocks and used purple slabs instead since I could break the blocks I used before, and then I parkoured to the next room. There was a staircase which led down to a room with a 3-block high wall that had a strider on top of it. I used my saddle from earlier to climb onto the strider and I fell into another room. There was a furnace and 3 clay blocks in this room, but before I did anything I went back to kill the strider because it dropped string. Unfortunately I had to sacrifice a purple slab to get the items out of the hole, but I figured it would be worth it. At this point I realized I had a few seconds left on my fire resistance, so I collected the clay and climbed up using the lava. There was a hopper up here with another bucket inside it and a hole with an entrance to a room above it. I saw nothing in this hole, so I decided to just skip it and I made it to a different room where I got 2 tripwire hooks. There was another drop further down where I found a maze on my left and cobwebs on the right. I went through the maze where I found a hidden dropper with another bucket, 13 redstone, and a block of TNT. I also found another room which I had to build up to, but I decided to go back and use the TNT to break the cobwebs first because I could use the string to make more blocks. I built up to the iron door room and this part made 0 sense to me, so I did some crazy stuff which was definitely not from the tutorial, and I made it to the next room. In this room there was a hopper with 2 glowstone blocks and an egg, and then I used this hopper to build up to another room without losing too many blocks. Now I was in a room with a cow for some reason, and I decided to just craft wool and build out to the next room. This room was actually the final room, and I found a ladder which was the exit to this prison. This is a 1-block prison, and I am going to attempt to make it to the final island and escape. I spawned on top of a bedrock block with a carpet under my feet and a crafting table underneath it. I looked around and there was a bunch of islands surrounding me, and there was a bedrock block with a cobblestone wall closest to me. I grabbed the carpet and looked above me and I found a composter. I grabbed the composter and used it as a block, and now I needed 1 more block to get to the cobblestone wall. I looked around some more and saw a chest on top of the bedrock block above me. So I tried opening the chest and I was barely able to open it. Inside of the chest there was 2 stacks of apples and that was it. 2 stacks of apples might seem useless, but in Minecraft you can actually right-click composters with food items and eventually you will get bone meal. So I spam clicked all the apples and I had exactly 9 bone meal, which was enough to craft a bone block. I used the bone block to build up to the next platform, and now I could see there was a ladder on the other side. I used the carpet to get to the top of the cobblestone wall, but I was still missing a block to jump up to the next part. So I carefully broke the chest, and then I broke the carpet and placed the chest underneath me. Then I placed the ladder on the bedrock block and climbed up. I made the jump to another island, and now I needed 6 blocks to climb up to the next island. The problem was I only had 3 clay blocks, so I looked around, but all I found was a furnace and a crafting table on the edge of the island. So I broke the clay, and underneath it there was actually a dried kelp block and an item frame. If you didn't know, a dried kelp block is actually one of the best fuel sources. So I smelted the 12 clay to make 12 bricks. After that I made bricks, and I was confident that you got more than 1 brick block from 4 bricks, but I was wrong. So I still had 3 blocks, but luckily bricks can be made into slabs, and that gave me 6 slabs so I could climb up to the next island. On the next island there was a random sign, so I broke it. There was also an empty cauldron and some sort of lava thing above it that was covered in bedrock that led up to another island. I went further and found a staircase leading to another platform, and there was a hole in the ground, and I found a hopper that had 3 raw iron inside of it. There was also a bunch of droppers covering the rest of the island, so I searched them all and found a fire resistance potion. There was also a furnace blending in with the droppers, and there were 4 saplings inside of it, so I decided to use them to smelt the iron. The saplings only smelted 2 of the iron, so I used the sign to smelt the last piece. After the iron finished smelting, I went back up to the main platform and found a dropper that had dripstone in it. Now I had a good idea of what to do, so I went to place the dripstone above the cauldron, and I actually found another behind the cauldron, so I placed 2 of them above it. I was going to use the dripstone to fill the cauldron with lava, and after it filled, I could collect the lava and use my fire resistance to climb up to the next island. But I still needed to craft a bucket. I was about to drop down and use the crafting table from the previous island, but then I would have no way back up. So I looked around some more and ended up finding a crafting table at the end of the island. Now I was able to make a bucket, and I waited for the cauldron to fill with lava, and then I used my fire resistance to climb up to the top. So I made it up to the next island, and there was a mix of dirt and gravel on this island, as well as a wood plank which had 2 sticks on the sides. So I collected everything on the island, and that gave me 2 sticks, 1 wood plank, 8 gravel, 2 dirt, and 1 flint. I needed to build over the void to the next island, so the gravel would be useless to get across, and because of this I knew I was missing something. I opened my inventory and saw I could craft coarse dirt with 2 dirt and 2 gravel, so I made that, but now I only had 4 blocks. But if you remember from this video, you can actually duplicate coarse dirt if you have a shovel, and I had the materials required to make one. I just needed to find a crafting table, and like usual there was one on the side, so I crafted a shovel. Now I could right click the coarse dirt with the shovel, and I mined the dirt to get 4 regular dirt. I crafted more coarse dirt and did this one more time, and now I had 10 blocks that I could use. So I built to the next platform and made it with 1 block to spare. On this island there was a hole with a furnace in it and a 1 block hole with a bunch of rails inside of it. I couldn't get inside of this hole, so I needed to find something to get through. I dropped down into this gap, and there was a crafting table as well as a piece of raw iron hidden inside of the hole. I ended up finding the rest of the iron in the other hole, so I smelted the iron with the wooden shovel, which made no sense. I don't know why I did this. I was only able to get 1 ingot out of it, so I used the lava bucket instead, which was much better fuel. After the iron finished smelting, I crafted a minecart and I used it to get through the hole. I almost suffocated because I thought the minecart would keep moving, and I got out and it put me on a tripwire which removed all my items and gave me permanent mining fatigue. Now I was unable to break blocks, so I collected the string from the tripwire and also picked up the stick I found on the wall. I walked out and there was an arrow and an item frame, and there was also 2 more sticks. I saw a target in the air and I assumed I needed to shoot it, but I still need a bow and I didn't have a crafting table. So I looked around a little more, and all I was able to find was a hopper on the side of the island that contained a fire charge. At first I thought this was useless, but then I realized I could actually use the fire charge to burn this wood plank I was trying to break. Once the plank burned, there was a hole underneath it, and inside of it there was a crafting table. So I crafted a bow and shot the target, and I thought nothing happened, but I turned around and a staircase appeared to another part of the island. So I climbed up the staircase and found a block of sand, and there was a platform that I couldn't get to because it was a 5-block jump. There was another area at the top of the staircase with a cow and a creeper trapped inside of boxes, and there was also a sign that said "Press this" with a smiley face and a button underneath it. I looked around the room a bit more because I did not trust the smiley face at all, but all there was a platform above me that I couldn't reach. So I pressed the scary button and the creeper started floating. At first this made no sense, but I realized that when I pressed the button, the creeper was given levitation. The reason this was important was because I could make the creeper blow up and it would drop a lingering levitation potion effect which I could use to go to the platform above me. So I walked up to the creeper and found out it was actually named Subscribe, so please subscribe because the creeper literally died for this. Once it exploded, I was given levitation and I flew up to the platform and noticed that I had levitation for way longer than I needed. Luckily, there was water on the island, so I positioned myself and landed inside of it. At the end of the island, there was a hopper with 2 iron ingots and 1 raw iron, and that was literally it. So I dropped back down to the top part of the island and barely survived with 2 hearts. I ended up finding a hopper with steak in it though, so I was able to heal back up a little bit. Now that I had enough iron to make a bucket, I ran back to the island that had a minecart, and surprisingly the furnace was still cooking, so I used it to smelt the iron. Now I was able to run back and craft a bucket, which I used to milk the cow to remove my mining fatigue. I broke the sand at the bottom of the staircase, and I used it to make the 5-block jump to the other island. On this island, there was lava flowing from the sky, nether wart and magma cream inside of item frames, and a cauldron that had a little bit of water left inside of it. There was also 3 slabs on the ground, so I broke them to check what was underneath. Under the middle slab, I found a hopper which contained a silk touch hoe, and that was it. I also broke the slab behind the cauldron and found there was a brewing stand under it. It was obvious that I needed to get a fire resistance potion, but I was still missing a water bottle. I realized there was nothing else on this platform, but then I remembered something. There was actually 4 glass on top of the cage that had a cow inside of it on the previous island. So I jumped back to the other island and used the silk touch hoe to collect the glass and free the cow. Now I had 4 pieces of glass, so I was able to use one of them to build back to the island, and I used the other 3 to make glass bottles. Next, I grabbed the water out of the cauldron, and I made 1 3-minute fire resistance potion. I drank the fire resistance potion and swam down the lava fall, and I made it to another room. In this room, there was obsidian in the form of a large nether portal with 1 missing block which had water flowing behind it. So I used my empty bucket to grab some of the lava which was all over the floor, and I used it to complete the portal. Now that the portal was complete, I still needed to light the portal. I had nothing in my inventory to light the portal, so I figured I missed something and began looking behind the lava. With time running out for my fire resistance, I was able to find 8 string hidden in the lava. At first this seemed useless, but I realized I could make the string into wool blocks. The wool blocks could then catch on fire and light the portal if I got lucky. So I placed down the 2 blocks of wool, and luckily they lit the portal, and now I was able to enter the nether. When I entered the nether, I was free, and I had escaped the prison. My friend trapped me on a cloud in Minecraft, and the only way to escape is by completing a puzzle, but the problem is I only have 30 minutes to escape, so I logged on and I spawned in a large bedrock room with an open roof, and it was raining inside. I looked up and I could see a chest with a sign underneath it and lava that flowed all the way down to the bottom of the room. There was also an item frame with nether wart and another item frame with a slime ball in it, so I collected those. I found an entrance to another room on the top left, but it was too high for me to reach, so I was stuck. I decided to spam right-click in the lava, but I wasn't able to find anything behind it. I did the thing, and I could see another room behind the lava, but there was nothing to extinguish myself on the other side. But since it was raining, I would immediately get extinguished by the rain on the other side, so I swam through the lava and I survived on 5 hearts. I was in another really tall room, and it was connected to another room that was 2 blocks high. There was a crafting table in the middle of the room, so I picked it up and there was a hopper behind it. The hopper contained 2 blaze powder and 2 glass bottles. I looked around the room for anything else, but it seemed pretty empty. So I placed my crafting table in front of the entrance to the other room, which allowed me to walk in. I was in an empty bedrock room, and at the end of it, there was a huge drop to the ground and a bedrock island with a furnace on it across from me. There were barriers on each side of me, so I wasn't able to jump to the cloud. When I crouched to the edge of the bedrock, I could see a hole, and when I looked in F5, I was able to see the entrance to another room and a hopper. The problem was I didn't know how to get into this room without falling and dying. But that was when I noticed something strange. In front of me there was a massive drop to the ground, but for some reason I could see rain particles. The only reason I would be able to see rain particles is if there was a barrier block down there. So I threw an item frame down to test it, and sure enough there were barriers that would stop me from dying. So I dropped down and checked the hopper. The hopper contained a full set of iron armor, and that was it. I had no idea why I would need iron armor, so I kept looking for something else. I tried to go to the furnace island, but the barriers stopped at a certain point, and it was too far for me to jump. So I walked over to the other room, and inside of it there was a 1-block hole with a trail of redstone and nothing to activate it. I tried to see if anything else was in the hole, but I couldn't see anything. I checked the roof and there was another hopper, and this hopper had 5 iron ingots and 3 ladders inside of it. I walked around the rest of the room and found nothing else, so I decided to use the ladders to go back up to the main room. When I got back up to the main room, I checked if I could craft anything, but nothing really stood out to me, so I kept looking. I used the last ladder I had to get up this incomplete staircase, and there was another room across from me. I walked into the room and saw nothing except for a hopper, and I checked it and it had 3 stone blocks and 14 iron nuggets. Now that I had 3 stone blocks, I would be able to get to the furnace island because I could turn them into 6 slabs. So I crafted 6 stone slabs and dropped back down. I bridged across with the slabs and I made it to the furnace island. I checked the furnace and it was empty and I could see nothing else on this island. I looked around because I figured I had to be missing something, and I ended up finding a hopper on the bottom of the island. I opened the hopper and there was 9 dried kelp inside, but I didn't know how that would help me. I took a look at everything in my inventory and noticed that I almost had everything to make a fire resistance potion. I was just missing a water and a brewing stand. I was nowhere near being able to craft a brewing stand though, so I still had to be missing something. I went back to the main room and realized I hadn't checked behind any of the hoppers. So I broke the first hopper and there was nothing behind it. But when I broke the next hopper, I found a brewing stand behind it, so now the only thing I was missing was water. I thought I was missing something because it seemed impossible to get water, but then I realized something. I can actually smelt the set of iron armor into iron nuggets, and this would give me 18 nuggets which I could turn into 2 more iron ingots. With 2 more iron ingots, I could craft a cauldron, and because it was raining, it would fill with water. But I still needed something to smelt the armor with. I checked to see if anything in my inventory could be used to smelt, but nothing worked. But while doing that, I realized that I had 9 dried kelp which I could craft into a dried kelp block. A dried kelp block is actually one of the best sources of fuel for a furnace, and could be used to smelt all the armor easily. So I made a dried kelp block and headed back to the furnace where I smelted all of the armor pieces. After I was done smelting, I headed back to my crafting table and made the nuggets into ingots, then crafted a cauldron. I placed the cauldron down and waited for it to fill with rainwater. While I was waiting for it to fill, I looked inside of it and noticed that over 97% of you are still not subscribed, and that is way too many of you, so please subscribe. Eventually the cauldron filled enough for me to fill the glass bottles, so I filled the bottles and now I had 2 water bottles. I headed back to the brewing stand and placed my blaze powder to charge it. Then I put the 2 water bottles in with the nether wart to make awkward potions. And then I added the magma cream to make 2 3-minute fire resistance potions. Now I would be able to get the chest that I saw in the first room by swimming up the lava. So I drank a potion of fire resistance and swam up to the top of the lava. When I got to the top, I opened the chest and it had 2 stone blocks and 9 wheat inside of it. I also tried breaking the chest for an extra block, but it was too hard, so I gave up. I headed back down and then I decided to swim to the bottom of the lava to see if there was anything there as well. When I made it to the bottom of the lava, there was another room with no walls and nothing inside of it. I was now closer to the ground and could see that there was plains below me, but there was nothing to drop down into. I tried breaking the cloud around me, but it was covered in barriers, so I couldn't get any blocks from there either. It seemed like there was nothing in this room, but then I looked around on the sides and I found a room that I couldn't get to. So I placed my 2 stone blocks to get to this room and made sure I could make the jumps without sprint. I made it to the room and there was nothing except for a hopper in the roof which contained 1 snowball. I checked behind the hopper and there was nothing, so I went back to the main part of the room. I looked in F5 on the other side of the room and I found a hopper hidden below the floor. This hopper had 4 redstone dust in it and that was the last thing I found in this room. So I drank my other fire resistance and swam back up the lava. I went back to the room with the redstone in it because I had an idea. I had the items necessary to craft a target in my inventory, along with a snowball that I could use to activate the redstone. So I crafted a hay bale and surrounded it in 4 redstone to make a target. I placed the target in front of the redstone and then I threw the snowball at the target. Nothing happened inside of this room, so after I did this I went back up to check the other rooms. When I got back to the main room, there was now water flowing from the ceiling, so I made my way to the top. When I made it to the top, I found a hole where the water came from with a piston in it. There was also an item frame with a piece of steak, so I grabbed it and ate it. There was also a 4-block wall which looked like I needed to climb it. So I looked on the other side of it and I could see there was more of the room on the other side of the wall. I needed 3 blocks to climb up, but all I had was my crafting table which I left behind in the previous room. So that left me with 2 blocks that I still needed to get. I realized I could break the piston, so I broke the piston and it started flowing towards me in the water. I picked up the piston and that was another block, so I only needed 1 more. So I placed the piston down and dropped down to get my crafting table. But when I dropped down, I realized I had this ladder that I used to get to another room, so I broke the ladder and went back to get my crafting table. Now that I had the ladder, I didn't even need to use my crafting table to climb the wall. So I placed the ladder and I climbed to the other side. On the other side, there was a staircase to get back up and a hopper. So I dropped down and opened the hopper. Inside of the hopper, there's a wet sponge and that was it. I didn't really know why I would need a wet sponge, so I figured there was still something missing. I thought maybe it was some crazy craft I've never heard of, so I checked the crafting table, but there was nothing I could craft. So I looked everywhere for anything else I was missing, but then I realized I forgot to break the hopper to see if anything was behind it. So I broke the hopper, and there was a deep slate slab behind it, and when I looked closer, I ended up finding a second hopper which contained 27 iron nuggets. It was now obvious what I needed to do with the sponge. So I crafted my nuggets into 3 iron ingots, and then I made a bucket. The reason I made a bucket was because I could cook the wet sponge in the furnace and collect the water by placing the bucket in the bottom slot of the furnace. So I headed back to the furnace and placed the wet sponge in the top slot and my crafting table in the bottom slot. I then placed my bucket in the bottom slot and waited for the sponge to finish cooking. Once the sponge was done cooking, I had a dry sponge and a water bucket, and now I could make it to the ground safely by placing water off the side of the island. But that was the boring way, so I jumped off and I made the MLG instead, and that was it. I had successfully escaped a cloud in Minecraft. This is one of the hardest prisons in Minecraft, and I will be attempting to escape it, starting now. The second I spawned in, I looked around. I was in a bedrock box stuck behind iron bars. There was another room, so I broke the iron bars and walked into the other room. In this room, there was a chest out of my reach, a lava fall, a crafting table, and a hole which I assumed was where I needed to go. First, I checked behind the lava and I found a chest. The chest had 3 blackstone and a blaze powder in it. I knew I could craft blackstone slabs, but I decided to check the rest of the room first. While searching, I found a barrier block in the middle of the room. I looked around and I ended up finding more, and I realized I could parkour on them. After jumping to the first block, there was no more blocks to jump to. From here, I could use the blackstone and make it to the chest, but I decided not to because I had blaze powder, which hints to me having to make a brewing stand. It ended up not mattering though, because I tried jumping towards the chest and I was able to open it for a second. This gave me everything I needed to make a fire resistance potion. I drank the potion and started to climb up the lava. At the top of the lava there was another chest and it gave me an ender pearl. The only thing I could think of using an ender pearl for was to enter the tunnel, so I grabbed the crafting table in case I needed it later and threw the pearl into the tunnel. At the end of the tunnel there were 2 different directions I could go, each leading to a different room. The first room had nothing in it except for a hole in the roof that was out of my reach. The second room had a floor made of ice that looked like it had something underneath it. I decided to drop into the second room because it seemed more promising. Under the ice I could see lava and magma blocks really far down. I knew I couldn't lift this fall, so I needed a way to get down. The obvious way down was the ice, but if I break the ice nothing is going to happen because there isn't a block underneath it. Luckily, I picked up the crafting table from earlier, and I was able to use that to get water. I swam down the water and ended up in another room. This room was decorated with terracotta on the walls and lava and magma blocks on the floor. Unfortunately, there were barrier blocks preventing me from breaking out. Because of this, I assumed there had to be a missing barrier somewhere. After checking most of the room, I finally found one that was missing, and under it there was a chest with 3 ladders, a trapdoor, and flint. I realized there was nothing else in this room, but I remembered the room on the left of the tunnel had a hole in the roof, and I was pretty sure 3 ladders would allow me to reach it. So I decided to climb back up the water and use the crafting table and trapdoor to get back into the tunnel. I dropped into the other room, and luckily 3 ladders was enough to get through the hole. When I made it to the top, I had entered a hallway with a bunch of different things. There was an armor stand with a sword and a cobweb on top, obsidian in the shape of a nether portal, and a hole in the roof that I had no way of accessing. When I got further down the hallway, I found another room with a giant pit of lava. There was a room on the left, a pig across from me, and a big hole in the wall exactly on the other side, and more cobwebs. I grabbed the sword from the armor stand and broke the cobwebs, making sure none of them fell in the lava. I checked my crafts, and the only thing I could make was a block of wool, so I did that. I used the block of wool to parkour to the room on the side and found a chest with a carrot and a saddle. I was very familiar with what I could do with these items because of this video, and I used the carrot to lure the pig towards me. Once it walked over, I jumped and landed the pig clutch. Now I was on the other side, but all I had was a crafting table and I still couldn't get to the next room because it was 2 blocks up. While trying to figure out what to do, I found a secret chest above the hole and it had 3 sticks. I went back over to the crafting table and made the only thing it let me make. A fishing rod. Even with a fishing rod, I still didn't know what to do. The only thing I could think of was fishing in the lava. But fishing the lava turned out to be a waste of time, and now I was stumped. I decided to check the hole again, but this time I checked in F5. I was hoping I would find another chest, but instead I saw a horse all the way at the bottom. If you didn't know, you can use fishing rods to pull mobs towards you. So now I knew how to get down, but I still had to be careful that I didn't die of fall damage getting off the horse. So I brought the horse up, and luckily, I was able to survive the fall, and I made it to the next room. This next room had 2 hoppers on both sides of me and a random button on the wall. Pressing the button did nothing, so I decided to open the hoppers. The first one had an emerald with a sign above it that said you might need this later. And the other hopper had steak, a golden apple, a blast protection 4 chestplate, and a TNT. Now that I had all these items, I still needed to find a way to make a 3-block jump. If you've played Bed Wars before, you might be familiar with the TNT jump, where a TNT explosion is used to boost a player. So, I used the button to activate my TNT and jumped over the wall. In this part of the room there were 3 new things: a hole in the roof, a dispenser, and some sort of hot tub. There were signs between the water and the lava, but if anything was under the lava, it was too far to reach. The items in my inventory weren't of much use either. At this point, I was stumped until I found this terracotta on the roof. The terracotta was the same dimensions as the hot tub, and all but one of the blocks were red. This must be some sort of indicator to where I need to look in the lava. The only problem was the lava was still too far down to reach anything. This part seemed impossible until I realized I was missing something. I thought all of the items in my inventory were useless, but it turns out I actually had one useful item. If there was a button or pressure plate under this lava, I could actually use the fishing rod to activate it. So I tried casting my fishing rod, and sure enough, I heard a noise. The fishing rod had activated the dispenser, and a shulker was spawned. I let the shulker hit me with levitation, and I was carried to the next room. I walked down this long hallway, and I thought about the fact that over 99% of you are not subscribed. The next room contained a bunch of holes in the wall. Each hole had a hopper in it with the exception of the top left, which had a boat. I also looked in F5 and found one of the holes had a crafting table. It was safe to say I needed to craft something in this room, so I dropped down. When I dropped down, I checked each hopper and they all contained 2 bamboo. I then made my way to the crafting table and checked the crafts. The only thing that you can make with bamboo is sticks, so I turned them all into sticks. After that, it was obvious that I had to make ladders. I used the ladders to climb up to where I saw the boat earlier and clicked the boat. I picked up the boat and found a chest in front of me. The chest had an iron ingot and that was it. I climbed up the staircase and I was back in the room I saw earlier. The only difference now is that I had both flint and an iron ingot, which means I could enter the nether. So I dropped down, lit the portal, and traveled to the nether. The portal brought me to a room full of barriers with a nether-themed wall pattern behind it. There was also a beacon and some slabs that made a staircase to the top. I wouldn't be able to jump on these half slabs, so I needed to find a way to get up. Inside of this room there was a beacon, which meant I could get jump boost if I had an ore. I remembered I still had the emerald that I was supposed to keep for later. So I used the emerald to get jump boost and I climbed up the stairs. But you probably realized there was another way out. Instead, I could use the boat to climb up the half slabs. But I don't think this was intended, so I used the jump boost instead. At the top of the room there was a big bedrock path leading to the exit of this prison. I went through the portal, and that was it. I had successfully escaped the prison. This is a giant Minecraft Christmas present, and inside of it is one of the hardest prisons which I am going to be attempting to escape. I spawned inside of a bedrock box, so I began by looking around me. I found a couple signs stating the rules: no breaking signs, and no breaking presents. In front of me there was a long hallway with an entrance to another room at the end. There was also an ice floor right outside of the box. I saw no way to escape, so I decided to look in F5, and that's when I found an item frame with a boat in it. I crouched to the very edge of the bedrock, and I hit the item frame to drop the boat. I then used the boat to escape and made it across the ice. On this side of the room there's a pool of lava blocking me from the next room. The lava was 5 blocks across, so I wouldn't be able to make the jump. You've all probably seen this a million times, so I'm just gonna move on to the next room. The next room was 3 blocks high, so if I dropped down, I wasn't coming back up. There were 2 blocks of snow in front of me, as well as a target and an upside down zombie. I was about to drop down, but I remembered seeing 3 snow blocks on the floor, so I checked those first. Underneath the third one, I found a present, and inside of it was a carved pumpkin. I now decided to drop down because I had a block to get back up if I needed to. Now I was able to see that there was a hole in the roof and lava in the wall. I used F5 and found there was something behind the lava, so I knew that was where I needed to go. I realized I probably needed to hit the target, but I did not have a projectile. Or at least that's what I thought. I could actually place the pumpkin on top of the snow blocks to make a snow golem. The snow golem would then start to shoot at the zombie, and eventually it will miss and hit the target. So I created the golem and waited for it to hit the target. The target ended up activating a dispenser, and it dropped a suspicious stew. Even though I had no way of knowing, It was safe to say the stew would give me fire resistance, considering there was nothing left in this room. So I ate the stew and swam through the lava to the next room. The next room had a floor covered in powdered snow that led to another room. The problem was, if I touched the snow, I would get stuck and freeze, and the snow was too deep to break. Fortunately, there was another room on my left, so I decided to check that out. Inside of this room, there were tons of presents, so I began unwrapping them. I ended up finding 4 pieces of leather total, and now I knew what to do. I needed to make leather boots because you are actually able to walk across powdered snow without sinking if you are wearing leather boots. But the problem was, I didn't have a crafting table. So I looked around and I ended up finding this little hole that had a sign that read, "Looking for a crafting table? Better hope it didn't burn." I now knew that the crafting table was most likely in the lava, so I went back and checked. Sure enough, I found it behind the lava and I made my leather boots. The next room had 3 parts: an ice parkour leading to a present, a 1-block hole in the wall which looked like it went to the next room, and a sheep that was hanging from the roof. I decided to start with the ice parkour because it was the most straightforward part. When I got to the end, I opened the present and it had a book and a crafting table. I opened the book and it said, "You're getting colder," so I went back to the main room. Next, I checked the hole in the wall and ended up finding a hidden present. The present contained 8 string, and now with the sheep on the roof, I was pretty sure I needed wool. So I made the string into wool, built up, and started punching the sheep. After that, I had 3 wool, but the only thing I could make was carpets. Carpets wouldn't be of much use to get me through this hole, so I had to be missing something. At this point I was stumped, but then I remembered I was missing something. I was able to break the powdered snow from earlier, so something could be hiding under it. It didn't take very long until I found another present, this time containing 3 wood planks. Now I was able to make a bed, which I could use to get through the hole. So I picked up my crafting table and placed the bed inside the next room. There were a few obstacles that I needed to use my blocks to get past, and I made it to a snow globe room. This room was completely covered in barriers, so I couldn't break out, and there was a bedrock house as well as a ton of snow and ice on the floor. I also found a crafting table on the roof and a sign inside of the house that said "Start digging." So I started digging in the house and I found a present. The present contained 5 turtle scoot, and I was pretty sure I needed to make a turtle shell, but I didn't know why. So I parkoured on these floating snow blocks to get to the crafting table on the roof. When I made it to the roof, there was another present with nether wart, a water bottle, and blaze powder. So I made the turtle shell, and now I was pretty sure I needed to make a potion, but I didn't have a brewing stand. So I looked around some more and found a massive hole that I would die from if I fell in it, and I was sure that that was the exit. That was it though, so I did the last thing I could do, and started digging up the floor. When digging the floor, I actually found that over 99% of you are not subscribed, and that is embarrassing, so please subscribe. Eventually I saw particles coming out of one of the blocks, and I realized that they were coming from the brewing stand. So I made my awkward potion, and then I made the potion of the Turtle Master. The potion of the Turtle Master would give me resistance, and that would allow me to fall down the hole without dying. So I drank the potion, and I dropped down the hole into the next room. The next room was an ice cave, and there was a present in the corner. The present had 3 steak in it, so I was able to get my health back. Other than the present, I could see nothing else in this room. I was about to start breaking the blocks again when I noticed something different about a few of the blocks. These blocks were powdered snow, which meant I could walk through them. The ones in the middle were too high up, so I decided to walk through the ones on the right. I ended up immediately falling into a room with a crafting table and a furnace. At the bottom of the room there was a water pool with kelp in it. So I collected the kelp, but I didn't really know what to make with it. I decided to use the crafting table to get back into the other room to see if I missed anything. But then I realized that I could smelt the kelp to make a dried kelp block. This block would help me get to the powdered snow that was 2 blocks high. So I smelted all the kelp, made the block, and walked up into the next room. The next room was full of presents, and there was 1 block of ice with lava underneath it. I knew I needed something to melt this ice, so I checked all of the presents. When I got to this present, something weird happened, and items started dropping from the sky. There was actually a dispenser in the roof, and whenever I opened the present, it would drop items. Eventually, the dispenser ran out of items, and I had 7 item frames, a shovel, and a torch. So I went back to the ice and used the torch to melt it. I swam down the ice, and I was in a large room with a candy cane and 2 snow golems on each side of it. I walked into the candy cane and saw a massive hole which looked like it went to the surface. I had no blocks to build up, but luckily I had this diamond shovel from the previous room, and I could use it to break the snow underneath the golems to make snow blocks. When I had enough snow, I built up in the candy cane and I made it to the surface, successfully escaping the prison. This is a giant magma cube, and inside of it is one of the hardest prisons which I am going to be attempting to escape. I spawned in a large bedrock room with lava underneath me. I could see another room across from me, but it was too far for me to reach. So I looked around for items and ended up finding 2 pieces of string, and when I looked up, I found a dropper, a floating anvil, and a hole with TNT in it. I decided to break the string that was holding up the anvil, and the anvil fell down, so I was able to use it to reach the dropper that was beside it. Inside of the dropper, there was a blast protection 4 diamond chestplate and a golden apple. I looked around some more, and I ended up finding a dropper underneath the platform I was on. The dropper contained 3 sticks, a flame book, and an arrow. Now I had the materials to craft a flame bow, but I didn't have a crafting table. So I looked around and ended up finding a crafting table behind the dropper. I crafted the bow and applied flame to it using the anvil since I conveniently had 69 levels. Now I had a golden apple, a flame bow, and an arrow to help me get across. These items might not be able to get me across on their own, but there was still a block of TNT in the roof. If I shoot the TNT with the flame bow, it will light and the TNT will fall down and I can use it to TNT jump. So I ate the golden apple and dropped the TNT down in front of me. I was barely able to survive, and if I hadn't eaten the golden apple and had the blast prot chestplate, it would have been over. So I healed back up and examined the next room. I was on a basalt island with a room across from me that was 1 block too far to jump. There was also a massive fall beneath me that I had no way of surviving. So I went back into the hallway and collected the weeping vines coming from the roof, and I also found 2 more pieces of string beneath them. You might have noticed that the weeping vines were placed on the roof, which means I could use them to get to the next room. The problem was I didn't have enough of them to get across. I could have waited for them to grow, but I decided to look around since I hadn't finished exploring this room yet. I ended up seeing a dropper underneath the basalt, so I broke down and the dropper contained 2 more weeping vines. Now I had enough vines to make it across, so I placed the weeping vines on the roof and I jumped to the next room. In the next room, there was a dropper in one corner, a crafting table in the other, a floating block, and a hole in the roof and on the wall. I checked to see what was in the dropper and I found 4 prismarine shards and 4 pieces of bamboo. I immediately realized I could craft a prismarine block, and I used it to get a better look at the floating block and the hole in the wall. There was a gold pressure plate at the back of the hole, and there was an item frame with a stick on top of the floating block. Now that I had this stick, I turned the bamboo into sticks and I crafted a fishing rod. I used the fishing rod to fish the pressure plate inside of the hole, and when I did that, a potion of levitation dropped from the hole in the roof. I grabbed my crafting table and checked the rest of the room one more time, and since the hole in the roof was the only place that I hadn't been, I used the potion to go up the hole. There was a dropper on the way up, but I checked it and it was completely empty. In this room, there was a lava pool on the floor with flowing lava 1 block higher in the middle. I could also see a boat on the other side of the lava, and that was it. I realized I could use my crafting table to cross this lava, but I decided to check the lava first because it made no sense for the lava to be here. I ended up finding a dropper with a blue ice block in it, so I decided the crafting table would be more useful, and I used the blue ice to cross the lava. I made a mistake and didn't realize I wouldn't be able to jump because the roof was 2 blocks high and I almost died in the lava. I waited for my health to regen and I looked around. The only thing I was able to see was the boat and a 1 block high gap leading to another room. So I used the fishing rod to fish the boat towards me and used the boat to go under the gap. In the next room, there was a donkey, a chest in the wall, a platform with a hole above it, and an exit at the top of the room. I moved towards the crafting table and there was also a chest in front of it. The chest contained 9 bone meal, 9 netherwort, and 9 wheat. I immediately knew what to do with these blocks and I crafted a bone block, a netherwort block, and a hay bale. Next I used those blocks to staircase up to the platform, and when I thought I would make it, I was actually 1 block short. I tried breaking the chest and fishing it towards me, but that didn't work. But that was when I noticed something. There was a donkey in the room and its name was Joe. The name was irrelevant, and what I noticed was that the donkey was carrying a chest. So I did what had to be done and I used the fishing rod to pull the chest towards me, and the donkey also dropped a saddle. Now I was able to use the chest as the final block to go up the platform. First I checked the hole above the platform and I found a fire resistance arrow and an item frame. Next I checked the exit hole and I saw a block of snow holding up a block of sand. But this was not a normal block of snow, it was actually powdered snow. This meant that if I shot it with my flame bow, the flame arrow would melt the snow and the sand would come falling down. So since it was my only option, I used the normal arrow I had from the first room to break the powdered snow. When the sand fell down, lava followed it, and now I knew where to go. So I shot myself with the fire resistance arrow and I climbed up the lava to the next room. I was in a box with a 1 block gap, and through the gap I could see 2 striders and 2 droppers. I was unable to reach one of the droppers, but I could reach the other one and I found 4 magma cream inside of it, and that was it. At this point I saw nothing else in the room, so I quickly went back down the lava to see if I missed anything. I broke the sand and there was nothing under the lava, so at this point I had to swim back up because my fire resistance was running out. There was nothing else in this room, and I had no items to go through a 1 block gap, so I was stuck. But then I realized what I could do with the saddle, and it all made sense. If I place the saddle on one of the striders, I can then ride the strider and teleport through the gap. So I did that and I found out both of the striders were also named Joe. Why is everyone named Joe? Anyways, I checked the other dropper I couldn't reach and there was more magma cream, so now I had 12 magma cream. The only thing I could make was magma blocks, so I crafted 3 of them. I still needed 4 blocks to get to the top of the room though, so I was still missing something. Unfortunately, I realized I would have to kill Joe because striders drop string and 4 string crafts into wool. So I got 4 string from Joe and there was no reason to kill Joe too, so I definitely didn't. I used the 4 blocks to build up and the first thing I saw was a pearl glitch setup. So I turned around and there was a dropper with a pearl inside of it, so I threw my pearl and ended up on the nether roof. There was a chest up here and it had 13 obsidian, a piece of wool, and a ghast spawn egg inside of it. So I placed my obsidian in the form of a portal and I spawned the ghast. The ghast ended up lighting the portal for me and I went back through to the overworld. When I made it to the other side, I could see an exit waiting for me across these lava pools. There was a bunch of gravel and sand laying around, so I broke it all and it revealed a crafting table. There was also water in the ground and a dropper in the wall, and it contained a stone pickaxe and a piece of bone meal. I needed blocks that weren't gravity blocks to get across, so I made concrete because I already had water to turn it into hardened concrete, and I had a pickaxe as well. I grabbed the crafting table and bridged across using the 8 concrete, and there was one more lava pool that I needed to cross. I already had 2 blocks I could use to get across, so I just placed them so I could jump across. Before I left, I checked this chest in the wall and found a punch 2 book and a stack of arrows. I wonder what that could have been used for. Next, I jumped across the lava and got in this boat placed on the outside to escape the prison. My friend built me a prison and challenged me to break out of it, but the problem was this prison seemed impossible to escape. On the inside, all of the rooms are layered with bedrock, making it impossible to break out of. The only way to escape is making it past all of the puzzles to get to the exit. Will I be able to do it? Let's find out. I started by looking around the room I was in. I was stuck in a bedrock cage surrounded by a bunch of furnaces. I decided to look in F5 mode and I saw a chest above me that was completely out of my reach. I decided to check all of the furnaces to see if they had any useful items. After checking all the furnaces, I was left with 1 oak plank, 4 raw iron, and 4 daylight sensors. I decided that the only thing left to do was to smelt the raw iron with the daylight sensors. Once the iron had smelted, I was left with 4 ingots, 1 daylight sensor, and an oak plank. I thought for a second and realized that I could use these ingots to make an iron trapdoor. I could then use the oak plank to make a button to activate the trapdoor. I then used the trapdoor to crawl underneath the bedrock. Once I escaped the bedrock cage, I looked around the room and I saw an exit in the top corner. I checked the chest for anything useful and I found a potion of levitation. I then checked all the furnaces one more time and I used the levitation potion to climb up to the next room. When I reached the top, I found a skeleton in a cage and another room which had a hole in the ground. I walked past the skeleton and dropped down into the next room. I found a few holes in the roof, one of which that had a chest that I could not reach. The other hole had a dispenser and a target that I also couldn't reach. On the other side of the room, there was a block of wool in the roof. I broke the wool and walked over to the chest. I placed down the wool and jumped on top of it to open the chest. Inside of the chest, there was a bow that was on very low durability. I knew that I had to use this bow to hit the target, but I did not have any arrows to do so. I looked around to see if I had missed anything, but then I realized that there was a skeleton at the entrance. I used my wool to block back up and angled myself so I could kill the skeleton without it hitting me. The skeleton dropped arrows, but I was unable to pick them up from where I was standing. I decided to use the daylight sensor to push the arrows towards me, and it worked. Now I could go back to the target and shoot it to activate the dispenser. After shooting the target, my bow broke and the dispenser dropped me a boat. Finally, I checked the room one more time and used the boat to take me to the next room. I picked up my boat and looked around the next room. There was a big hole leading to the void in front of me with nothing to walk over. I looked around and I saw a double chest that I couldn't reach. I also saw a furnace that was empty and a crafting table inside of the wall. I decided to place my wool to build a platform that I could jump to. I placed my wool as far as I could and I used my boat to catch me in case I failed to jump. I opened the chest and all that was in it was a piece of sand. I was quite confused on how a piece of sand could help me. If I placed it on the wall, it would fall into the void, and I don't think there are any crafts that involve sand. But then I realized I had a furnace and I could make it into a piece of glass if I used my boat as fuel. Once the glass was done cooking, I placed it ahead of me and I jumped. Now I was able to break the chests and I made one more jump and blocked up into the next room. The next room was very small and it only had a couple of ladders and a small hole on the side. When I looked down the hole, there was a chest. I opened it and it had 2 bones and an ender pearl. I figured that the only thing left to do was to use the ladders to pearl glitch myself through to the next room. I threw my pearl and it worked and I had made it to the next room. Inside of the next room, I found a floating block of ice, a hole with what looked like a furnace that was too high to reach, and another small hole with a chest. I looked around in F5 and the hole looked like it was long enough to lead to another room. I opened the chest and I found 2 oak logs. With 2 oak logs and no crafting table, I didn't really know what to do next. I looked around for any other clues and found nothing. It took me a moment, but I realized that I could make charcoal by using the furnace in the roof. Charcoal would allow me to make a torch that I could use to melt the ice. Once the charcoal was done smelting, I was left with 3 oak planks. I used 2 of them to make torches and placed them all around the ice. Once the ice melted, I swam through the hole to another room. I walked forward and there was a room full of lava with a hole in the roof. I used my last wooden plank to build up to the room and I looked around for anything to help me. I saw there was a crafting table in the corner, but that was it. I began right-clicking the lava to see if anything was behind it. I ended up finding a chest with 12 bamboo in it, but that was all. When I checked the last lava source, I found something strange. Every time I right-clicked, I would punch something, but I didn't know what. I decided to look in F5 mode, and it looked like there was a room hidden behind the lava. I jumped through the lava and barely lived on 2.5 hearts. Luckily, there was water. Inside of the secret room, there was a double chest that had 2 steak and 2 string. So I ate my steak, collected the chests, and used them to block off the lava so I could get back through safely. By now, it was obvious what I had to do. I used the crafting table to make scaffolding, and then I used the scaffolding to climb up through the hole in the roof. Once I made it to the top, I climbed up this weird formation of bedrock. In this room, I saw an exit, 4 chests, and 4 dirt blocks. I decided to use the dirt to build up to the chests. Inside of each chest, there was 1 jungle sapling. I placed all 4 of the jungle saplings on top of the dirt and made my bones from earlier into bone meal. I used the bone meal to grow the tree and then I climbed up to the top of the tree. Once I made it to the top of the tree, I climbed the ladder and after that, I had successfully escaped the prison. This is a Minecraft escape room with the lowest level of realism. I can't even see through the water and my crosshair is literally a square. But for every room I escape, Minecraft will keep getting more realistic until my PC explodes. The first room was Savannah themed. I was able to find these buttons so I pressed all of them and one of them made a ding noise and dropped down water on the outside. So I went up the water and found a very detailed chest with a square inside of it. The square was actually a netherite hoe, so I used it to start hoeing the edge blocks to hopefully reveal something behind them. I eventually found out one of the blocks was connected to some redstone and it put a block of sand inside of my inventory. The sand could only be placed on sandstone though, which was kind of a problem. After a couple minutes, I ended up finding the sandstone hidden under the opaque water pool and that unlocked the entrance to the next room. Now the graphics were looking a little better. I was in the nether and I could see the exit on an island across the lava. So I parkoured up the trees and searched the top of them but found nothing. I noticed I could cross these vines to the glowstone though and now I was able to reach an island. The island had a barrel with a saddle in it so I took that and went back down. I then parkoured again and I checked the other glowstone but all I found was a button that did nothing. I spent the next 5 minutes searching for anything else in the room and I found nothing. So I just kept trying to jump across the lava without dying and eventually it worked. In room 3, I was now able to see myself when I looked down. It was a snow biome with a cabin and I instantly noticed some barrels. So I searched them and found a raw pork chop and a piece of charcoal. I found another pork chop in a hidden barrel and then I entered the house. In the house there was even more empty barrels and there was also a smoker so I decided to cook the pork. Cooking the pork gave me a stone shovel and I climbed onto the roof of the house only to find another piece of charcoal. From the top of the house, I was able to see another chest though, so I parkoured over to the chest and found a lever inside of it. Now that I had checked everything, I started digging the snow with the shovel because that seemed logical. In one corner, I found a hidden room that had another lever inside of it. And in another corner, I found another hidden room that required me to use the lever to enter it. When I entered the room, there was another door and I was able to use my other lever to go to the next room. In room 4, the shaders had gotten better, but this was still nothing compared to what was to come. I also forgot to enable the texture pack, so pretend it's like this. I was in a jungle with a huge temple in the middle and I needed to make a sacrifice. I found these blocks which were making weird sounds when I stood on them and I climbed up the temple in the middle only to find a chest that was empty. I climbed on top of the trees and I found a sunflower in the leaves but I was unable to break it. I went up higher and I found a chest with 1 gold ingot in it, and that was it. Next, I climbed up this hill and I found a hidden chest in the corner with a lead inside of it. So I put the lead on this cow and nothing happened. But then I took the cow over to the blocks that were making sounds and I stood on the other one and it made a noise. I went towards where I heard the noise and I found a chest with another gold ingot in it. I decided to check out what this villager was trading next, and I found a trade for a stone hoe that required a lead. So I traded for the stone hoe and saw that it could be used to break a sunflower, which I needed for the other trade option. So I went back to the top of the tree and broke the sunflower. I brought the sunflower back and now I had a melon which could be placed on top of the coarse dirt. I found coarse dirt beside another melon, so I placed the melon down and heard another noise. I went towards the noise and a chest had appeared in this cave which had another gold ingot. At this point there was nothing left to do, so I put my gold in the chest at the top, assuming it was where I should put my sacrifice. When I put my gold in the chest, things started happening and I made it to the next room. In room 5, things were starting to get realistic. My FPS was dropping rapidly and I still had more rooms to complete, so I needed to hurry up because my PC was getting ready for takeoff. I was in a mine and I don't know why, but I took this person's head. I also found an iron pickaxe which could only break iron ore, so I started mining. I found a room beyond the iron with a person named Flumu or something, I don't know, so I took their head too. I kept mining iron and I found Flimus, and there was a lever hidden in the lava behind Flimus which could only be placed on mossy stone bricks. So I looked around for mossy stone bricks and I found an iron door which I was able to open. I found Paul, and Paul was trading 3 iron for a stone button. The problem was I had raw iron because I played the map on the wrong version. So don't tell anyone what happened, but now I have a button. There was also a book on a lectern and it had a bunch of words in it. I could only place the button on chiseled stone bricks which were right in front of me, but I didn't realize it. So I looked around for almost 5 minutes while my IQ was draining, and there was clearly a reason for that. Eventually I went back to the room and found out these were chiseled stone bricks. So I magically got more buttons, and each time I pressed a button the color of the block changed in front of it. When you actually read the book, it tells you that you need to enter a color combination. The only place I had seen colors was the armor of the people around the mine, so I tried putting their colors in alphabetical order, but it didn't work. I actually just had them in the wrong order though, so I tried again and it opened the entrance to room 6. Room 6 had a lot nicer shaders, but my FPS was dropping even faster. I was in a room from one of those rich mansions that are always haunted. I found a flower, then I found a secret room behind a trapdoor, and in the room there was an emerald on the table and nothing else I could take. I also stole the armor off of these armor stands and checked every barrel and trapdoor until I found a diamond. It was looking like my new goal was to rob this mansion rather than escape it, but then I realized someone was home and they looked very scary. It turns out they wanted to trade these items for the exact set of armor that I had, but I was still missing 2 of the items though, so I only did the first 2 trades. There was a book telling me Larry gave the key to Barry, and this was Barry, so now I knew I didn't get scammed. I went back out to the main room and found the sunflower right where I started, and now I only needed an iron nugget. I ended up finding a room behind this large wall of paintings, and inside of it was the nugget. So I took the nugget back to Barry and got the last piece of armor. I tried putting on the armor, but it did nothing, but then I remembered where I got it from and it made sense. So I placed the armor on the armor stands and I heard a noise, but the door was still closed. I ran around for anything else and I found a secret room behind the paintings, but it was useless. So I ran around some more and I found a hidden room in the most obvious place it could have been. In this room there were 4 swords on the wall and I instantly knew I had to rotate them in a certain way to open the door. I remembered seeing a sword like this in the first hidden room, so I left the room and I ended up finding the diamond sword instead, which was pointing at the top left. So I rotated the diamond sword and I ran back to the trapdoor hidden room and found the gold sword pointing at the bottom left. Now I just needed to find one more sword because I could just guess the last one. So I went back to the useless room beyond the painting and it was still useless. I ended up finding the last sword in the first open room and it was pointing towards the middle right. So I guessed the last sword and I heard a noise telling me the door was open. So I went through the door and the gold block was here to teleport me to the next room. Room 7 had new shaders and they came with really annoying motion blur. I also had a very realistic shadow. I found a chest with a wooden shovel that could break red sand, so I started digging. After breaking almost every block of red sand, I found a chest containing a cactus. The cactus could only be placed on top of a cactus, so I found a cactus I could place it on and it created a staircase. When I got to the top of the staircase, it let me jump to a tree, and the tree had a chest with cocoa beans in it that could only be placed on jungle logs. So I found the one spot on this tree it would let me place them, and a ding went off and I was given a turtle egg. I didn't notice I was given a turtle egg though, so I spent 5 minutes being stupid before I noticed the egg and saw I could only place it on sandstone. So I spent 5 more minutes searching every sand block because of the realistic textures, but then I found out it was the block that already had the turtle eggs on it. Placing the turtle egg gave me sugarcane, which I placed on the only sugarcane without string on top of it to open the entrance to the final room. Room 8 looked like some sort of backrooms maze, so I put on the final level of realism, but unfortunate things happened. I wasn't giving up though, so I started my game up with more memory allocated, and after another crash, I got it to work, but I wasn't able to last more than 30 seconds without crashing, so enjoy this accurate representation of the last level. This is a Minecraft escape room with some of the most realistic textures possible, and for each room that I escape, Minecraft is going to become more unplayable until it somehow gets worse than this. The level 1 graphics were insanely realistic, especially this dirt. There was a house in front of me, and inside of it I found a chest that gave me a wet sponge every time I opened it and a few furnaces beside it. There was a cauldron and a brewing stand filled with empty bottles outside, and I found a ladder leading up to the roof. On the roof there was a chest with 5 blaze rods and 3 nether wart inside of it, and I could see an entrance to another room which I couldn't make it to. I found a button on the ground, but it did nothing, and I found a staircase leading underground beside the house. Underground, I found a chest that kept filling with iron ingots, and I found a button to spawn a phantom. After killing the phantom, I had the resources to make a slow falling potion, so I headed back up. I crafted buckets and used the wet sponges to fill the buckets with water. After that was done, I filled the cauldron outside with water, and I used it to fill the empty bottles. Now all I had to do was wait for the slow falling potion to finish, and once I was done that, I drank the potion and glided to the next room. In this room, I was getting much better FPS, but everything was still very realistic. I was on a farm with a windmill at the back of the room, so I entered the windmill. In the windmill, I found a very sharp broom which could be used to break cobwebs, and I also found a scythe to break crops and an axe to break logs. I explored the top floor of the windmill, and I found another chest with enchantment bottles and 3 rabbit spawn eggs. I checked the basement, and I found a shopping list which told me I needed to get rabbit stew, a loaf of bread, and cooked cod. I walked further down the basement and broke the cobwebs with my broom and found a lure 3 book. Next, I spawned the rabbits and only killed one of them because I already got what I needed, so why would I kill more of them? I decided to get the easiest item first, which was the bread. All I had to do was break the wheat crops with the scythe, and then I could craft the bread. I also found some wood I was able to break with the axe, and then I went back to the windmill to craft my bread. It took me forever to find the crafting table, but I should have known this was a crafting table. Look how obvious it is. Now I had a piece of bread, and I also crafted a fishing rod because I needed to get cooked cod next. I went back outside and used the water to fish, only to realize I forgot to add the lure 3 enchantment to become a professional fisherman. So I added lure 3 and I was able to catch a raw cod first try. I went back down to the basement and I cooked the cod in one of the furnaces, and apparently that gave me nuggets. Now I only had 1 item left to craft, and that was rabbit stew. So the first thing I did was check Google, and Google told me that I need a carrot, a baked potato, cooked rabbit, a bowl, and a mushroom. I knew how to get 4 of these things, but I had no idea where to get a mushroom. Eventually, after checking all of these trapdoors outside, I was able to find one which had a hole underneath it. I swam down the hole and I found a little cave where there was 9 mushrooms. The problem was that I couldn't break them, but I fixed that pretty easily when I found this block of wood that I could break. Now I was able to craft the rabbit stew, and I used this button in the basement to teleport to the next level. In this level, the game was still realistic, but the shaders were noticeably worse. I was in the desert with a giant mine in the middle of the room. I went down to the bottom of the mine and I found a lava pool that had a room behind it, but I couldn't swim through it or I would die. So I went further down the cave and I found an elytra in a minecart chest and 45 wood planks in a different minecart chest. I also found a cave that I had to crouch to get into, which had a chest with a bunch of totems in it. I grabbed all the totems and went back to the lava pool from earlier, which I was now able to swim across. On the other side, there was a chest with a pickaxe which could break iron ore and coal ore. So I started mining every vein of iron and coal ore that I could find, and I found nothing except this cave with a skeleton across from me. I could see a button on the floor, but I was unable to reach it, so I continued searching for something else. After finding nothing, I gave up and pressed the hint button, which told me shields can deflect arrows from skeletons. So I used my coal to smelt some iron and I crafted a shield. I went back to the cave with the skeleton and I blocked my shield. An arrow activated the button, but nothing happened. I thought I was stuck, but eventually I realized I had a compass in my inventory which was named X marks the spot. The compass could be used to break red wool, so I found an X made of red wool and I pressed the button to go to the next level. Now the graphics were looking less realistic, but still not bad. I was in a snow level with a cabin and 2 different snowmen. One of the snowmen was named Henry, and Henry asked me to get him a golden carrot and some pumpkin pie, so I started looking for that. I entered the cabin and found a chest with a shovel that could break red sand, a book, and 20 torches that I could place on sand. The book was called Snowman Quotes, and inside of it said sometimes instead of roasting other people, you should stop to roast yourself. I think they were referring to the fact that only 5% of you are subscribed to me. So I went outside and used the shovel to break a piece of red sand, and there was an area beside it with a small hole in the wall and that I could only crawl through. I climbed back up and I found out the torches could melt the ice, so I melted some of the ice and found more red sand in the water pool. Under the red sand there was a chest with 3 carrots and 7 gold nuggets, which meant I only needed 1 more for the golden carrot. When I swam back up, I saw a chest on a tree, so I parkoured to it and there was 3 sugarcane and 10 eggs in it. Next, I used the ice to swim into the hole from before and I found a sign with coordinates on it. When I made it to the coordinates, I found a secret lever which put the message pumpkin broken in chat. I went back down the hole and I picked up the pumpkin. Now I was able to craft the pumpkin pie and I just needed one more nugget to make the golden carrot. I realized that I could just smelt my shovel and that would give me one more golden nugget. So I smelted the shovel and I crafted the golden carrot and then I delivered the 2 items to Henry and he gave me a flint and steel. At first I was confused, but then I remembered what the book said from earlier, so I jumped in the fire. I was teleported into the air and there was now a cave underneath me. There was a button in the cave and when I pressed it, all it did was play water sounds. I'm not going to lie, I cheated on this part, but basically what you had to do was get the same amount of air bubbles as times the sound was played. The next level was just default Minecraft with slight shaders. I was in some sort of space base and there was one room on each side of me. I decided to check the room with the chest first and it had a chest with a book and a bunch of hunger potions. The book told me to drink the potions, but when I did, nothing seemed to happen. I climbed up a water pool in the middle and I found there was a second floor. I found a gold block with a pressure plate beside it which said helmet equipper, but nothing happened when I stood on the pressure plate. I checked a few chests and I found a laser hoe and another book that said I needed to eat a baked potato for jump boost. So I went to the last accessible room and I collected a few potatoes. I also found a chest with biofuel in it, so I was able to cook the potatoes. I ate the potato and I used it to jump up to a door which led to another room with a chest that contained a button. I placed the button on the gold block which said helmet equipper and I was given a glass block which I guess is a space helmet. I went back to the first floor and I was now able to enter the room that said do not leave without helmet. The room led me outside and I immediately found a chest with a music disc which was the key to something. I looked around a little bit and I found a place to put the key. When I used the key, I was given a spaceship repair tool which let me break blocks of iron. So I started breaking the spaceship with the repair tool and I found a chest with a glass breaker that could break glass. So I went to the other side of the room and I found a place that I could break into which led me to the next level. Now the graphics were pretty bad and this somehow isn't even the last level. The first thing I found was a sound puzzle which I'm pretty sure has to do with these pressure plates, but I just didn't listen to the sounds and died a few times before leaving it for later. I found a hole with a sign that said needs fire resistance, a massive unlit portal, and a nether fortress building. Inside the fortress, I found a filled cauldron and an empty brewing stand. I also found this really useful diagram and something growing that was hopefully nether wart. I went up to the roof and found 3 shields and 3 red squares which were apparently sharp 5 gold swords. I searched the last corner of the room and I found parkour leading me to a blaze spawner. I absolutely destroyed the blazes and I got a few blaze rods and I realized there was nothing left for me to do except the pressure plate puzzle. So I spent 15 minutes guessing the puzzle instead of using the sounds because that was easier. After crossing the puzzle, I got 2 flint and steels and now I was able to light the nether portal. When I got through the portal, I realized I was now in the overworld, but it was actually the nether and the level before was the overworld. There was a house and inside of it there was a chest with a shovel that could break sand and 4 fishing rods. I found a hole beside the house and it led to a cave with sand, so I broke all the sand. There was an unfinished end portal in this cave and there was also a chest with 2 wart pickers. I couldn't find anything else, so I went back to the overworld / nether and I picked the wart. The next part was confusing because I had to use this really detailed diagram to solve it, but eventually I figured it out. It told me the slime cave was opened and I found the slime cave with fire covering 90% of my screen. There was a button that spawned a baby slime, so I did some killing and headed back to the nether / overworld where I smelted some of my sand to make glass. Then I went back to the overworld / nether only to realize I had to go back through the portal again to craft the bottles. Now I was finally able to make a fire resistance potion and I swam through the hole to the next room. The next room's graphics were absolutely terrible. The colors looked like I was playing the first Mario game ever created. This room had no puzzles and it was just a bunch of trivia, which I definitely completed first try because I'm a genius. After getting all the questions correct, I was finished the puzzle and I was able to see what this texture pack actually looked like. Honestly, it's probably better the puzzle ended here because I don't think my eyes could have handled this. And it was even worse on the title screen.